you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker, what do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess, screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way, close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown! I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it! Hits it!
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, let's get started on a Thursday. Thank you all for joining us. I believe we are loaded up and ready to go. Chad Ryder, the NFL Network, is going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. And a little bit more breakdown, and I'm not going to apologize for the way that it is. But since the Colts have no first-rounders, there's not a lot of reason to talk about first-rounders other than, or at least high-level first-rounders, other than a guy like Fernando Mendoza because of IU, or maybe even Omar Cooper Jr. because of LN and because of IU. We'll break down the IU stuff. We'll break down the top of the draft, maybe a little bit more than we did with Matt Miller yesterday. I did not hear about Matt Miller and his appearance on ESPN today. I remember I told them last night, I said, go deep on the bourbon, brother. And that'll help out your voice, and you'll be much better. Believe me, I know these things. But I did not hear it. Now, Matt Miller from yesterday, Chad Ryder from the NFL Network is going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour regarding that. I feel bad about this. It seemed like last year, every other day, it was JJ, Denary, Eddie Gill. And it really should be that way because they have a wealth of knowledge regarding the Pacers. And we love basketball. And we believe there to be a light at the end of this particular season's tunnel. Right? Unless the NBA steps up and just completely jacks things up, which maybe they will. Because that's exactly how they're built, to jack something up. But it seemed like last year, especially beginning at this time, we were talking to Tony East yesterday, and I remember you going back to March 11th of a year ago. That's when I thought, you know what? This could be something special. Could be. That was a 4-point play in the corner from Halliburton against the Bucks, and everybody was feeling good. And that was really, I was doing a live show at the Balcony Bar at the Hyatt House, which, my God, I got to get it back there soon. That was awesome. It was like a 70-degree day. That was the time. That this year is much different. No question about it. But I think we believe there to be, if everything comes to pass, we believe it to be a light at the end of the tunnel. But no, we had JJ on every time. JJ, Chris Denary, Eddie Gill. And I know it's been few and far between this season because of the lack of wins, and we kind of know where they're going. JJ's going to join us a little bit later on. We'll talk about the matchup with the Hornets, talk about the situation with the Pacers right now, and those things that equate from this moment to next year. It's not going to happen overnight, but those that equate to this moment and then to next year. Jeremiah Johnson, Pacers TV, is going to join us coming up at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. This was not a secret. This was not breaking news. And again, Stephen Holder had it. We'll give him credit where credit is due. Certainly there. We should, because we like him a great deal. I think oftentimes people say stuff about Stephen Holder, and they shouldn't because they're just kind of jackasses in general. But Stephen was on top of the whole Anthony Richardson thing. And this is something that I think, much like what we know about this Colts team right now, everybody had this in mind. You knew you were moving forward, and you knew you were moving forward without Anthony Richardson, a former 4th overall selection in the draft, and at that moment, your future at the quarterback position, you knew you were moving on without him being what you thought he was going to be, what you felt he was going to be, what you had hoped. We knew that. And that's how it turned out. That's how it's turning out. I don't know what they're going to find, but I will tell you this. NFL teams will end up, those that need quarterbacks will believe that they can do something with this. And I will say the same thing about Anthony Richardson, as I will also allude to regarding Benedict Mathurin, now with the LA Clippers. There's no reason to be cross with either. There's no reason to hope for the worst with either. In terms of the Colts, what you really should be angry or mad or shaking your fist about, or what really, to me, should be the negative portion, is just how things have run. That is organizational. Starts right there, ends right there. They haven't done enough. They haven't done enough to this point, and honestly, you're crossing your fingers and you're hoping that they have done enough, but you still probably don't firmly believe that they have going into next year. It seems like an incredible lame duck season. So that's all been organizational. You start with the organization and bad decisions, and the bad decisions lead to the mediocrity at best of this team that we have seen, which for you, the fans, or you, the advertisers, it has proven this. There have been no return on investment. You have invested a lot of time and effort and money into this, and you have seen nothing of circumstance in return. You should be angry about that. You should. I know a lot of folks. I know a lot of advertisers. I know a lot of fans out there that continually invest, and you hope, and it's not paid off. You thought it was through halfway of the season a year ago. As it turned out, it was certainly like it has been. And we continue down that path. Now, with the Pacers, it is different. We have described this as a gap season meaning you knew this was coming. I had hoped for more. And then once this team was at various positions compromised even further, it became reality that it, simply put, wasn't going to happen. The expectations of this year was that you're going to have to find a 5, you're going to have to find a pivot, and that you're hoping ultimately that going through this type of year where you're 20 plus however many games under 500 going into later on tonight against the Hornets, that the return of Tyrese Halliburton, we'll see the return of Obi Toppin, but also you go through a type of season like this because you're deserving of what, again, hopefully is going to be a high lottery selection. Now, you have gambled that. You've gambled that because you were in need of a 5, and Ivica Zubac is the future 5. They've gambled that. You've protected that pick 1 through 4, but if you don't land 1 through 4, that certainly is compromised. And as I've mentioned in the past, that is not good. But when you make that deal, you ultimately have to give something even more in return. And we're going to find out how this deal goes. And I think it's essential. I will feel great about this deal. It's one thing to get the 5 play of Zubac and to have him fit in with how they run things offensively. It's another, to me, this deal's never going to live up to it without a high lottery selection. And unfortunately, that's something now that's out of your control. You can lose as much as you want. You can get fined as much as the NBA wants to fine. They can tell you about integrity. They can tell you to medicate players and get them back out there. And all the jackassery we had dialogue-wise for the past 48 hours, we can listen and debate all that. But it does come down to just good fortune or lack thereof. Comes down to luck. And the draft lottery coming up on Mother's Day. That's what it comes down to. That's what we're left with. And it is, other than losing games and trying to better your position, it's completely out of your hands. That's what we understand. But even with that, to me, this deal is not going to be what it needs to be, and is not going to be as favorable as you want it to be without a 1 through 4. Without an even longer-term future. It's just not going to be that way. Yeah, even with what you hope to be the production of Ivica Zubac, whether it's, it's funny, we were talking about that yesterday with Tony East, and, while Zubac has been a very good 5 in the NBA, 14.5, double-figure rebounds, he's a double-double. He's going to add to a dynamic of a team that we haven't seen since, Sabonis, be able to work the offensive glass and kickouts, and then you can step into a 3, which oftentimes that is essential. I don't know if that evens out with the fact that when you do your high ball screen action and you pick and pop, there's going to be no popping going on because there is not a threat there. Miles, as much as you dislike him right now, even if he didn't knock down the 3, was a threat, and it was a threat that you had to recognize. You had to recognize that, this guy may end up knocking down this 3. So he was a threat on going to the rim, and he was a threat on picking and popping. And certainly you've seen how it's worked out, or not worked out in this case, in Milwaukee for him. And you knew what the outcome was going to be there, but here it worked. Yeah, with Zubac, you hope that what happens with him is he makes up for it with offensive glass work, which was not existent for this team. And on a miss, a kick out to a wide open, step in, 3-point shooter. Shout out to Dan Pantos right there. And that's what you hope that will end up balancing out what you don't have in Turner, but what you do have in Zubac. Now, to me, I'm a huge fan of Benedict Mathurin. I'm a huge fan of Benedict Mathurin from an angle, and I'll start right here. I love how he approaches the game. In fact, he approaches the game, I think, to the level in which people around here absolutely love. You embrace it. You embrace a guy that is all about ball, all about results, and is all about, not about making friends, being friends, former connections, but he is out every single night trying to kick your ass or the ass of the opposition. I have a great deal of admiration for his approach. Now, let's face it, if you're going to break down the NBA and you're going to be critical of it, most of the time you're going to be critical of what? You're going to be critical of how these guys are all friends and this game doesn't matter, that game doesn't matter. With Mathurin, every game matters. Now, is he a better offensive player? Does he look for his over playing defense? Yes. There's no question. Would you like to see, or did you want to see his game be more balanced? Yes. Did you wonder whether or not he was a fit? Some of you did. I didn't. You want to know why? Because his personality is not prevalent with this group. And I think his personality is important. But that's by the board. Or as they say, that's water under the bridge, because now he is in L.A. And what struck me a little bit earlier today, I'd sent out his numbers, I think, through 3 games of the L.A. Clippers. He is 1-2. And I got 2 responses whether or not you believe him to be a winner. And one, I don't know if it was meant this way, but it pissed me off. One from Kevin, whom I like a great deal, and I'm assuming he's not a jackass of a dude whatsoever, but it was, and every team has to have a leading scorer. When I retweeted or re-X'd, in this case, his numbers so far with the Clippers. Again, 1 and 2. I think he missed a game-winning 3 opportunity the other night. But I don't ever think there's going to be a need. You don't have to be a cheerleader. You don't have to wave pom-poms. But there is zero reason for you to ever root a guy that if you are going to describe what you want in a basketball player, that would be it. The mentality you want in a basketball player, that would be it. Because that's what he cares about. He doesn't care about the glitz and the glamour and the money and any of that. He cares about going out there and playing, and now he's in L.A., and that's fine. But I don't want to hear any bullcrap about Benedict Mathurin. Just because you hope that this deal looks better. This deal is going to look the way that it does with results. It doesn't have to be, well, you're getting a guy that scores 28 a game, but his team is not so good. That's more on the Clippers than it is Benedict Mathurin. But he was an enjoyable player and certainly an enjoyable personality and the type of player that maybe he didn't fit and maybe he wanted to go someplace else to where he was more of a high-level option. That is okay, but he is a basketballer. And I don't want to hear from you ever again if you suggest anything else other than that. Because really, if I'm going to ask you what you want in a basketball player, that is the mentality that you want. Somebody that just cares about the game, cares about going out and beating those opposite of them, and is not worried about the after-the-game handshakes or, again, the monetary value or the glitz and the glamour and just that of being a professional basketball player. He has always wanted to win games, no matter the situation, and that's been his major focus, is improving as a basketball player, whether it was here or now it's in L.A. I have a great deal of admiration for that as a high-level basketball fan, and hopefully you do too. So that struck me today. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page with that. You don't have to be a cheerleader for him. You don't have to actively root for him, but I don't want to see you root against him and hope for the worst because you want to see this Pacer deal work out to the best of its ability. It's not about that. It's about what Zubats adds to this team, and it's also about the good fortune that you hopefully get because you have gambled and compromised that high level, that elite lottery selection possibility. That's what it's about. It's about what is here and what is coming up next year. It's not about what he's doing in L.A. It is okay for you to be on board with Mathurin because, again, that's a guy that if you're going to describe a basketball player in the NBA that you like, that's how you describe it. And he's with another team. So hopefully that's not an active particular mindset from folks out there regarding Mathurin now being in L.A. I'll be honest with you. I'm more interested in watching those games now because I like to watch him work and how he's trying to fit in with that team. Now, he certainly is more of an offensive lean and an individual offensive lean than he is defensively or overall player, but he is still what you like to call a dog. I think we'd all agree we need more of those, even if he's not here any longer. So we'll get to that at 239-1070. Boilermakers, the final of 3 straight at home at Mackey Arena. getting Michigan State. You're going to get Peacock coming up later on tonight. We're going to talk that up. Purdue, Michigan State tonight at 8 o'clock, Mackey Arena in West Lafayette. Butler last night, Butler hanging in, Butler losing at Villanova as you thought. Really, you got 3 teams in the Big East that are worth a crap. And then one of them last night looked like they're not worth anything in St. John's if you watch that against UConn. Villanova over Butler. More of the IU conversation regarding how they looked against Northwestern. We got into that yesterday. And, of course, the NFL Combine. And the Colts news today is that there is, I guess, permission granted as if you're not actively. You knew he wasn't going to be the future anyway. And I know I had Shane Steichen on this show on Tuesday. I asked him 19 different ways about his feeling on Anthony Richardson. And, of course, he's not going to tell me what in reality is going on with Anthony Richardson. But he didn't need to. We all knew. We all knew how this was going to work out. We all knew how this wasn't working out here and the direction it wasn't going to go here. And, again, that's still more organizational than it is individual. And I will say this. He has given me no reason not to hope for the best for him wherever he ends up. Hey, if that is a negative reflection on the Colts front office, then so be it. Or a negative reflection on why this coaching staff can't find anything within him for him to be a quarterback, a starting quarterback in the NFL, that's on them. He's, to me, done nothing to get any negativity about where he ultimately gets or where he goes. But again, today was non-surprising, but certainly we will discuss with Mike Chappell coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Mike Chappell, 5 o'clock hour. Jeremiah Johnson, Pacers TV, is going to join us coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. And, of course, I mentioned, too, Chad Ryder, NFL Network's going to join us, NFL Combine in town, and we'll talk about that in terms of IU Hoosiers at the Combine and the top of that Combine list with Chad coming up at the bottom of the hour. High school girls state basketball finals. If you missed the conversation yesterday with the head coach of Roncalli, Jason Sims, podcast 1075thefan.com. Again, here's the rundown coming up on Saturday. 1A, Borden and Fremont. 2A, Eastern Pekin and Oak Hill, 3A, Roncalli and Belmont, and 4A, Cinder Grove and Norwell. A lot of Southside interest right there beyond belief. It is a good finals coming up on Saturday. Now, are all those games right here, James, or they bounce back and forth between other stations? Are they all right here? Yeah, I think so. IndyCar at St. Pete, that is coming up on Sunday. I'm really interested in the IndyCar season because of the whole Will Power. The Will Power, to me, is a bit of a soap opera, a melodrama, if you will, that's necessary for IndyCar. I dig it. And a shout-out to our good friend Kevin Lee, and we probably should get Kevin Lee on the show at some point. His son Jackson is going to be running in the Truck Series at St. Pete this weekend. That's awesome. It's funny, when I watch NASCAR, I do find myself drawn to the Truck Series. You have the 3 Series, obviously, NASCAR on the Cup level, and what we used to call the Busch Series. What is it, Xfinity Series? Now, hell, I don't even remember what it is now. I think it is. But the Truck Series is fun as hell to watch. Jackson Lee is going to be a part of that coming up this weekend down in St. Pete. That is absolutely awesome. And a shout out to Jackson, friend of the show, and a shout out to Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee, of course, a part of Fox and the IndyCar coverage, too. And of Trackside with he and Kurt Cavan weekly here on The Fan. All right, 239-1070. U.S. Open bowling tickets we got for you a little bit later on, too. I've got your calls at 239-1070. I've got your text line, which is wide open, 317-239-1070 as well. Yeah, no, you guys are asking about live shows. Live shows are coming. The month of March, we get all these notifications about things that I have to do as far as advertising is concerned. Now I have to voice a lot of that. I got a blank ton of those right now to do on the other side because we are out a ton with our friends from Coors Light in the month of March. It's going to be a great time. Fan Invitational 2026 golf outing presented by Franciscan Health. We've got new news regarding that as well. The stream, the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. It is I know, I did wake up this morning. Where did the snow come from here? What the hell? I know Indy South, you kind of woke up this morning thinking, wait, is it big snowflakes and wet snow? What the hell is that all about? One of these days, it's going to get warmer. We get like 8 days of 55-plus temperatures, and according to Sean Ash of Channel 13, maybe a 70-degree mark? What we're talking about right there? Oh, yeah, and you guys are asking about St. Patrick's Day, which is not too far in the near future. Something special for you there, too. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Do not go anywhere. Get your latest from the Combine coming up on the other side. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, Johnny, for Big Red Liquors. Big Red Liquors, great deals coming up this weekend. Certainly powers the JMV takeover every Saturday night. That is on B105.7. Let's start with the beers. I mentioned Coors a little bit earlier, too. Great beer specials on Coors going on at Big Red Liquors this weekend, too. Modelo products, as well as I talk about the low-calorie beers that I partake in all the time, whether it's Modelo Oro, that's 90 calories, or 95 calories of Michelob Ultra, the Ultra Premium light beer. Great deals on that as well. Wines, spirits, the best in bourbons and whiskeys and vodkas and tequila. You know, somebody told me the other day that one of the highest sellers out there right now would be that of tequilas. Check out the greatness in tequilas. And, of course, you hear this on Saturday nights, the High Noon Double Shot Power. High Noon, great deals going on right now at Big Red Liquors. Make sure you take advantage of that. The Red Hot deals, the Speakeasy deals, 100-plus locations throughout the state of Indiana, and it powers the JMV takeover every Saturday night on B105.7. To find that location nearest you and a little bit more on those great deals to get you set for the weekend, that's BigRedLiquors.com.
The Ride with JMV.
I love JMV. He looks like Rascal Flatts guy.
Got a cool soul patch.
He does, and a buttery smooth voice.
Oh, yeah.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, we got a Nothing But the 90s on Saturday night, B105.7. James, crank this up. God, I love this Nirvana song. Quick and to the point and done. This is the best Nirvana song of the catalog right here. Seriously, it goes hard, gets to the point, gets the hell out. 3 minutes. Perfect alternative rock song. Breed. Saturday night JMV takeovers, Nothing But the 90s. JMV, love to hear you reminisce about school. Graduated in 1990 in Southern Indiana, the height of civilization for sure. Damn straight. Hey, by the way, I know Indiana State's basketball team stinks right now, but I'll be over there coming up on Sunday I'm going to try to destinctify the situation coming up on Sunday. I'm going to be the air freshener. I'm the Glade. They're bringing me over to be the Glade for the basketball season in the Mo Valley for the Sycamores on Sunday. And if you're going, I think it's time for us to meet at the Valley or at Maugers or somewhere over there, the terminal, the Copper Bar, whatever. So, yeah, just call me Glade. I'm going to bring freshness in there. And if I have to suit up, by God, I'll suit up. More on that coming up, too. JJ coming up at the top of the hour. And now open for trade possibilities, I guess, for real? With Anthony Richardson. Mike Chappell discusses coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. On the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he's here for the Combine. He knows the Combine. We'll discuss that with him right now from the NFL Network. Chad Ryder joins us. Hey, Chad, thank you for the time. How are you? On the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, a part of the NFL Combine. We were down there earlier this week, had Shane Steichen, but now a little bit more in-depth on that. And from the NFL Network, he's a draft analyst. Chad Ryder joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Chad, welcome to the show. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm loving the city of Indianapolis, as I do every year at this time.
Are we showing you love on the way back, too? Is it a boomerang effect you're getting from us here?
Well, I love that it's going to stay here. I love that it's always been here. It's a drive for me from Wisconsin. I love coming here, so I'm in heaven.
All right. Well, is it more thrilling for you than been hanging out in Wisconsin this time of year? The weather's not that much different. Maybe it is a little bit different. I don't know what you guys are dealing with up there right now.
It's a little warmer here, but golf courses are opening in Wisconsin this upcoming weekend. So
nice.
We're doing all right.
Nice, but yeah. you got work to be done here. As far as what you see, I've mentioned this too before, Chad, to other guests we've had, is that I like the fact, since the Colts don't have a first rounder, I've concentrated on a different angle, and that is the 9 Indiana Hoosiers from that national championship Kurt Cignetti team that's involved in this NFL Combine, starting with Fernando Mendoza. Let's start with what is predicted to be the number 1 overall selection going to the Raiders. What do you like about his game most of all as it translates to the NFL?
Well, I think just his mental approach. I don't think he's the most physically gifted passer that will ever be a number 1 pick, but I think his mental approach is really, really excellent. And he's one of the few guys in this draft that when it was clutch time, he got better. And that you can't say that with a lot of guys. So I really like what he's done. He's been great. And if the Raiders do anything else other than take him, they're the Raiders.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was going to ask you next. They have been the Raiders. Will they cease being the Raiders that we have known? And I guess what I'm trying to ask, is he going to a spot that has a really bright future compared to what we know it to have been here in most recent history?
I think the nice thing about Mendoza is that you're going to get a leader, you're going to get a smart guy in your locker room. And so I think they can be a better version of the Raiders that they have been in quite some time, to be honest.
It's Chad Ryder of the NFL Network talking NFL Combine. You got any comps as far as present-day quarterbacks that give you a bit of a reminder of what Mendoza could look like on that next level?
I think like most guys, there's not really a great one-to-one comp, but what I like about him is when Alex Smith came out of Utah, very bright, so he's got that part of that game. And Smith was also an underrated athlete, so you've got part of that game. Now, Smith's career didn't go exactly how he wanted, but he had some pretty good moments, and if he wouldn't have gotten very injured at the end of his career, he might have been able to do more. I also like the Kirk Cousins part of his game where he's very solid in the pocket. Again, not the strongest arm, but he knows where to put the ball, and he can place it very well. And so I think a combination of some of these guys that have been very successful can, give me a clue that this guy has a chance to be, if he doesn't become one of the top 5 starters, it would surprise me, but at least in that 10 to 12 category, he can be just as good as Sam Darnold, who, with a good defense and good guys around him, led a team to a Super Bowl.
Chad, I'm curious, too. You look at the rest of the quarterback core, especially those at the top of the list that are most draftable going into the NFL. What do you like about the rest of the group, the elite level group in this particular draft at that position?
Well, it's a pretty small group to be elite. In fact, Mendoza probably is the only elite one. I think Ty Simpson has a chance to be pretty good. I'm not sure that he'll be a first-round pick. He probably will just because of the need of the position. And he does look, he's a coach's son. He can make throws into tight windows. He's a very mobile boy. So he's got a lot of the tools to be a pretty good quarterback. But I think he's definitely a step down from Mendoza. And then the rest of the group is a lot of question marks. There'll probably be 2 more picked on day 2. Carson Beck from Miami was a little robotic for me. I don't think he's a great decision maker. Then you got Garrett Nussmeier from LSU, who struggled at times with injury and with meeting expectations. Drew Aller from Penn State's a very interesting guy. I thought either coming into this year he was going to work himself into a Josh Allen comparison, or he would fall back and be the next Jacob Eason. And that's kind of what he looked like this year, even before the injury happened. So there's not a lot of guys that are with starter grades. It might just be Simpson and Mendoza to most teams.
Chad Ryder of the NFL Network's kind enough to join us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, doing some comparisons, looking at the NFL Combine and as it pertains to the upcoming and this spring NFL Draft. When you look at the wide receiving position, IU has a couple of guys there. That is Surratt and Cooper Jr. What do you like about both? And it looks like the Cooper Jr. is kind of stretching out as far as a top first-round selection at that position right now. At least that's what some others are telling me. Do you view him the same?
Yeah, he's the difference between a guy who goes 20 and a guy who goes 45 in this draft in terms of talent is negligible. So it's really going to come down to team needs, whether a team likes his more of a steady game than maybe a Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M, who's a little more dynamic after the catch, that kind of thing. So he could end up a first-round pick. He may be an early second, but it doesn't matter in terms of the player he is, because we know what he's done for the Hoosiers the last couple of years, actually. Dependable, strong after the catch. Maybe not the fastest guy, but he can still create some separation with strength. Very good hands. We've seen the body control at the back of the end zone. That one catch was amazing. So he's got all these tools to be a very good starter. And Surratt really is going to be a contributor. I think if he doesn't in round 2, I would think somewhere before the middle of round 3, somebody will take him as a really solid number 2 option. He can work outside. He can play inside. I'll be very interested to see if he can work himself into a big slot. I think he's got a chance there to be a good two-way player in the middle, too. So I think both those guys are going to contribute early in the NFL career.
You mentioned this, too, the march to a national title game and basically being in the spotlight for the playoffs in college football has helped the notoriety of these IU players, no doubt. And I think one of the guys you take away from that with not only his skill set, but the playmaking ability is in that secondary, and D'Angelo Pons. How do you view him at a corner position compared to those in and around him? Where do you think he ends up?
Yeah, the issue, of course, is going to be his size. I mean, he's going to be under 5'9", probably 170 pounds, something like that. And it's tough for teams to pull the trigger in the top 50 on that. That said, I think a team like Detroit, for example, who could use a nickel corner, and I think they picked 50th. I think he would be perfect for them. Ultra competitive, very talented, finds the ball, not afraid to tackle, not afraid to hit. I really like him as a player, and it's just a matter of how his size, lack of size, hurts him in the draft process, but it's not going to hurt him to have an NFL career. I mean, he's going to be a very good player. Mike Sanistril, who came out of Michigan a couple of years ago, has similar size, and he, I believe, went 50th overall. So I expect Pons to go somewhere in that same area, and maybe somebody, says, hey, we need a nickel. Maybe we'll take him early in the second round, and that would be great because he deserves it based on his ability.
It's funny, too. I gave the comp, and it's really easy around here for me to do because we have watched one of the better nickel corners we have seen, certainly in Kenny Moore, evolve from a guy that was undrafted, and now he's evolved into what he is. I don't know what his future is going to be here considering cap situations, but mind you, I think that they are comparable players at the NFL level. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. I think he certainly has that kind of skill set to be a physical presence, despite not being 180 pounds, even if he was soaking wet. But I think as the saying says, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And I think Pons has plenty of fight.
Yeah, I would agree, and that's what I think. Kenny Moore also developed that, and that's his notoriety now, his calling card, if you will. And Pons, I think, could be that, if not even better. But certainly one of the reasons why we're talking about him in this light, and I want you to give the comparison between what these guys do, for example, in this NFL Combine over this stretch of time compared to what we've actually seen them do in incredibly competitive situations on the field. How do you balance the two? How do you judge the two moving through this up until the NFL draft?
I think it's important for teams to see these guys' athleticism right next to each other. That instant comparison is very helpful because teams, different colleges run different schemes. You don't know what they're asked to do, and so you are left to the imagination in terms of what the guy can actually do if you ask him to do a certain thing in your defense or your offensive scheme. So I think seeing the athleticism up front and everybody's on the same page and what they're supposed to do is very tough. Now, a guy isn't going to go from a fourth-round pick to a first-round pick or vice versa, but there is room where a guy who maybe we're projecting as an early third excels, and a team late in the first round goes, look, he has these faults, but I think he meets what we need. We can work with him. Our coaches will help him improve in these certain areas. So you can have that sort of jump sometimes. But really, it's on the margins. And I think it's important, but in the end, anytime anybody has a great combine, the first thing any team does is go back to the tape and watch them in that environment. And certainly Indiana players have about as good a tape as you're going to get from this past year.
Chad Ryder of the NFL Network, before I let you go, give me who you think is really going to shine when it comes to a conclusion here at the NFL Combine. The position-wise, what do you like the best? Is it offense? Is it defense? And some of these stars and maybe even somebody that's off the radar right now you think is going to present themselves with authority at some point over the stretch of the Combine. Who you got?
Well, I think it's really the receiver group is interesting. It's going to be this story because there's not much for quarterbacks. There's not a lot of running backs outside Jeremiah Young. And the tight end depth is interesting, but it's third, fourth round. So it's really going to be about the receivers. Denzel Boston from Washington has a chance. He's the most reliable. If he runs fast, people are going to be talking about him going a lot higher than they are right now. And there's going to be a lot of shifting in that receiver area. So that's really the most interesting thing to me to watch this weekend is how that receiver group shakes out over the weekend.
You got it. Hey, Chad, I appreciate you very much. Enjoy this time down here in a city that you love with the NFL Combine, and then safe travels back to the state of Wisconsin, man. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on.
You got Chad Ryder of the NFL Network on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline right there. Quick break. We shall return. So Anthony Richardson is now open to go ahead and seek a trade. Both sides are cool. This is something we've known for a long time, the direction they were going. And I know I talked to Shane Steichen going back to Tuesday, and we also knew how that was going to go when you asked him 25 different ways about Anthony Richardson and his future here. You also knew how that was going to go. So I've got that for you. Plus, something else that I discovered, and I guess I'm not going to understand this, and we'll get back into it in just a bit, is please don't tell me anybody around here is not how do I phrase that? You don't have to necessarily root. I understand that. But I don't want to hear about anybody that's hoping bad things or things don't turn out well for Benedict Mathurin with the Clippers. Please tell me you're not that type of thinker or that's not your attitude. Don't be that. You don't have to be a cheerleader, a pom-pom waver for him with the Clippers. I understand that. But to hope that he doesn't produce out there or to hope that things go haywire because you don't want that to be a bad reflection on the Pacers, I mean, come on. Please don't tell me you're like that. And if you are like that, I'm here to change that stinking ass attitude ASAFP because it's ridiculous. Back to that. Pacers later on tonight, Boilermakers, a big one with Michigan State. They'll wrap up a 3-game homestand at Mackey against Sparty. You're getting peacocked later on tonight. Well done. That and more coming up for you. Live in studio on a Thursday. Thank you all for joining us. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Time is almost up. Your last...
Hey, John here. By the way, I think I'm going to be over there next Wednesday. A little hooping before Butler plays in Hinkle Fieldhouse next week. More on that coming up, but more on how, if you want to start your weight loss journey, it is a terrific time to do so. At Premier Weight Loss, it is Thomas and Sam and Lauren, top level, top of the list folks that are going to help you reach your goals. And the best part about it is they stay alongside the entirety of the way. You have to own up to situations too. And I've said this before with Premier Weight Loss. It's one thing to do the weekly weight loss injections as I do, but if you work alongside, if you do the work too, you will see even greater results. That's how I've been. That's how you can be as well, just in time for the summertime, just around the corner with Premier Weight Loss, the 2 Indy area locations, the 317-643-4444 on the north side of Indy on North Meridian and in Fishers. Also ask about the electronic toning mechanism that they have. That works fantastically. Skin tightening, they have Botox, they have all these options. But first things first, if you're thinking about wanting to lose the weight and wondering how you can get it done, this is it. Premier Weight Loss. Give them a call. Tell them I sent you today. 317-643-4444. 317-643-4444. An incredible group that will help you reach your weight loss goals. PWLindy.com. Tell them I sent you.
The Ride with JMV.
I am the cream, yeah. The cream of the crop. And there is no one that does it better.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
There you go. Lenny Kravitz. Nothing but the 90s right there. Coming up on Saturday on the JMV Takeover. Chad Ryder, NFL Network, podcast 1075thefan.com. Number 13, Michigan State. Number 8, Purdue, Mackey Arena, West Lafayette. You're getting Peacock later on tonight. Is that Noah? Is Noah doing the Peacock? I'm assuming Robbie Hummel does every basketball game, so I'm assuming it's Noah and Robbie. We got to get Noah back on the show sometime. People have actually, because he's on the show so much, have asked me, does Noah have perfect hair? He looks like he has perfect hair. He does. He looks like he has absolutely perfect hair. Peacock tonight, 8 o'clock. Buckets was on the show yesterday. That podcast at 1075thefan.com. Pacers in action versus the Hornets tonight at 7 o'clock. 6:30 coverage begins here on the Fan. Jeremiah Johnson, Pacers TV, coming up at the top of the hour. And Anthony Richardson now has been open. I'm assuming that if you could have found something here prior to that something can be done. That is just, what's the term now that a lot of people, I think it was a Mike Braun reference with the Bears and Hammond in mind. Indiana's open for business. I think that's the Colts suggesting that they're open for business with Anthony Richardson. But let's face it, unless you're really awkward and don't understand, they should have been open for business regarding trading for Anthony Richardson long before this. Man, Gordon's got the call tonight. Brandon Gordon. We could have got him on the show, too. Brandon Gordon and Robbie Hummel, of course. Getting peacocked with Gordon and Hummel coming up later on tonight. I'm done. Thank you, Todd. Michigan State, Purdue. That is the third of 3 straight at Mackey Arena in West Lafayette. Got a lot of feedback yesterday from my comments regarding Darren DeVries, year number 1, and just what was an ultra disappointing loss at home to Northwestern. And we'll double back to those comments coming up in a minute. Pacers and Hornets tonight. Jeremiah Johnson, Pacers television on the other side, and we'll get down to what's going on with Richardson and the Colts in general, and, of course, the NFL Combine. Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59 coming up after 5. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Text line is wide-ass open at 317-239-1070 right now. Get your comments in, especially if you agree with me on some of the thought process regarding Benedict Mathurin. Even though he's with the Clippers. Agree or disagree with what I've had to say regarding that. And listen, I am on those that hope that it doesn't work out well for him in Southern California. What is wrong with you? Hour 2 straight ahead, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Great car buying idea, because this is simply put the best car buying experience you're going to find anywhere in the state of Indiana. Who's up for that? Who's up for something easy? Who's up for something hassle-free in terms of your car buying experience? His name is Eric Wilson. And not only can he lead you down the path to that great car buying experience, but also he's going to do something we all love. He's going to talk hoop with you. He is a great hoops spokesman. He knows what he's talking about, and he's going to help you along, get your car or truck or van of your choice, but also can talk some basketball at Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers. I'm telling you, that is essential territory right there, because not everybody can do that. He can do that. But this is a triple threat position you're going to find at Indiana's best. It is the car buying experience with the inventory that is necessary. It is the incentives to buy, which is a big old coupon to help you save on that vehicle of your choice. And then the service after the sale, which is beyond essential nowadays. That's what you're going to find. The triple threat, that's a basketball term right there that Eric will know, and how he can help you out. Honestly, the best car buying experience anywhere. Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers.
The Ride with JMV.
Now you listen here. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Now go away.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
No, welcome back to the show. Text line 317-239-1070, hour 2. Just got off the elevator, JMV, with your buddy Adam Schefter. Was thinking about kicking him in the shin for you, but I restrained myself. Where was that, by the way? What did you see, Schefter? I actually think this has been better for me, the fact that he hates me. Maybe he's forgotten about it by now, but the story that Chris Hagan tells me, and I've obviously told you that before too, on what Schefter said about me during a 20-plus minute drive, and this is probably 5 years ago now, from the Combine to Fox 59, which is up, as you know, the studios on West 71st Street on the northwest side. What he said about me, Normally I think people would go, wow, I can't believe he said that, but I actually embrace it. I think it's great because this guy should have zero thought about me ever. But the fact that he did was glorious. And he hates. If you view me as a friend and you like me, he hates your friend's guts. It's beautiful. Shout out to Hagen. And what was great about it, he had no idea that Hagen was one of my best friends either. Who, by the way, I haven't been on Fox 59 Overtime in like a month. Is that telling me something? Are they going to let Wish TV Channel 8 start beating their ass on Sunday night? Now they better bring me back. Jesus. I think he wants to lose to whatever that thing is over there. Whatever they've cobbled together on Wish on Sunday nights. Come on. Is Suzanne? I want to get to Suzanne before I get to JJ. Suzanne's at 239-1070. Suzanne, are you Suzanne from JMV Takeover Saturday night?
I am not.
Oh, you're not. Different Suzanne. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Well, the reason why, because I have some tickets for that particular Suzanne for Saturday night. It's the reason why I asked. So I apologize. See, it's not the most common name ever, so I thought maybe you guys would be one of the same. But that's okay. What do you got?
Well, I just want to let you know that I love your show, and I am to Pro Matherin. I am going to attend his game. I'm going to cheer him on. Along with the Pacers,
yeah.
I agree with you. People should not be hating him. It's not his fault he got traded.
No, and he's exactly what people want in a player. Now, he may have wanted to go someplace else, and that's probably true, to be more of what he envisions himself, but he's the type of player, the type of dog, as I've mentioned, that people want. And I don't know why. He's out west. That's a perfect spot for him, and I think you can be a fan of Benedict Matherin while hoping that this deal ultimately works out with Zubats in mind here.
Correct. I agree with you. I mean, look, he's excelling with the Clippers, so he's looking great. So, again, it's not his fault, right?
Suzanne, you got to call in more. Thanks for backing me up. That is a rarity on this show.
No problem. I look forward to meeting you one day.
Oh, you got to do that, Suzanne. I've got cocktails or beers or something for Suzanne when Suzanne. By the way, Suzanne, I think it's Suzanne Novak that won tickets to see Electric Avenue, the MTV Experience. That's at the Vogue on Saturday on the JMV Takeover. That's who I thought maybe that was, because I owe her some tickets. Electric Avenue at the Vogue on Saturday night. That is going to be some fun. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. His name's not Suzanne, but we'll let him on the show right now. He's Jeremiah Johnson of Pacers TV, who joins us. I want to start right here. I feel bad, because last year it felt like, JJ, that you or Denary or Eddie, you were on constantly. And this year I know it's been few and far between. I apologize for that.
Got the text from James this morning, and I had to do a double take, and I almost said, who dis?
Isn't that terrible? That's so bad.
December 2nd was the last correspondence I had. So you don't need to apologize. I completely understand, and I'm glad there was no other reasons that you were keeping me away other than just deciding to branch out your topics a little bit.
No. And here's the main reason why it is, and this is what I gather. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong. But I would think it is very difficult to really elaborate about this team the way that it is. It's one thing to be good, and then you can talk about that all the time. It's another thing to be bad, and then obviously you can be critical, but they're bad in what has been described most often in a gap season, and it's due to injury. So that is understandable, and there's just not a lot of dialogue to be had. It's almost like you're playing it right down the middle, and I think that's tough for you guys to continue to come up with that particular dialogue or commentary on it because of the situation in which they're in, and we're not going to find out how all this works out, starting with the lottery on Mother's Day and then moving down the line, obviously, into the offseason, the start of next season. It just seems like it's a tough topic for you guys in general.
It is, and especially in November and December when you mentioned gap year. I don't think that's the way that anyone thought this would go when the season started. I remember, your friend, my friend, Chad Buchanan, I hosted an event with season ticket holders, and it was the opening week of the season. And he, flat out said, that's not our plan and that is not our intention to this season. And then all of a sudden in the first game, Andrew Nembhard goes back to the locker room, and you're expecting so much from him with Tyrese Halliburton out. And then game 2, Benedict Mathurin goes to the locker room, and I had extremely high expectations for him this season. And then game 3, Obi Toppin, who never misses time, he goes to the locker room. And, T.J. McConnell did not start the season, and so you get my drift. I don't need to go through all of them. But circumstances definitely played a factor into where things are, and we still have our, pregame coverage 30 minutes before, and Eddie and I still talk about the game at the conclusion. And, of course, Chris and Quinn have a lot to talk about during the game. But it has been probably one of the more challenging seasons. And I actually am now, with the last couple of months, really I feel like there's a little bit less pressure on everyone, team, coaches, broadcasters even. Yeah. And I am looking forward to some of the individual angles over the final 2 months.
Well, it's one thing when you're losing, and I've got experience in that on the other side with the other professional team, when you're losing or being mediocre, and you can be highly critical. But in terms of criticism right here, it's justified. Does that sound right? And I'm not accepting losing by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't know what else you're going to do, so you can't come out every day and shake your fist and be all pissed at what the Pacers are doing, because you ask yourself, if you look in the mirror, what else are they supposed to do at this point?
Yeah, it's tough, because you also don't want to every game say, well, these are the excuses. It's more of, it's an explanation, but nobody wants to hear excuses. And then the players, there are still 5 guys on the court every single time, and they're still, either trying to prove their worth or perhaps prove their worth for the future and solidify their spots. And so when they lose, it still hurts and it still impacts them. So you're still trying to win. You're still trying to develop guys, but it's been a little bit of a challenge, and the injuries have just really kind of torpedoed any of the original plans for the start of the season. And now it's sort of plan B, and you hope that plan works out for everyone.
I will say this. I didn't know I'd ever be talking about shingles. Have you ever had shingles before?
I have not.
I've had shingles before.
You have?
Yeah, they were near my armpits. That was problematic.
Just an isolated spot?
Well, yeah, it was like, both sides. I thought maybe it was just a severe case of chafing, but I guess it was more than that. It was weird.
Yeah, that was a little bit unexpected, and again, that's sort of par for the course of how the season's gone. Hopefully Tyrese is feeling better and can get over that, and look forward to seeing him soon. But it's definitely not the same without him around on the road or at home, having his personality on the bench, having him fire the crowd up when it's bricking for chicken. Right now, it's just Quinn who fires everyone up during those fourth quarter free throw attempts. I
envision this, and it sounds really simple, I guess, because it is. But I look at it this way. When he gets back, that's when everything's going to be all right. And that's when everything is going to fit. I sit here and ask myself, all right, so, how's Zubac's going to fit? Because compared to, Miles Turner, for example, is a big, they're not comparable. Here's the pluses and I guess the minuses of both right here. But I have, in terms of fit and winning and positive results, I have all that going right because of Tyrese Halliburton and what he does and what he brings to the team, what he has done to guys so far as their overall game is concerned, and what he's going to be able to do to this group. Simply put, it's about him is how they're going to move forward and be what we hope them to be.
The best way I can describe it is, in football terms, he is that elite quarterback, and if you take him, off the court or off the field, you're just not the same team. And you can have a backup, and sometimes they can come in and win a game or two. And we've seen over the last couple of seasons. I mean, Tyrese is not probably an 82-game-a-season player, probably won't be. There could be little ailments at different times in the season, and you can survive those, but you're not who you are. That's not who this team is, identity-wise, everything, without Tyrese Halliburton. And so the one thing probably to be a little careful at the start of next season is to not have those expectations on opening night that it'll just be flipping a switch and he will be completely back. Given the timing of the injury happening in June and then having the following off season to work into it, it could help him as compared to, let's say Isaiah Jackson, who tore his Achilles the last week of October, early November, and came back and had, basically 11 and a half months. Tyrese Halliburton will get the the extra 3 or 4 months, so it'll be 14 or 15 months. So should be able to be better. Again, look forward to seeing him on the court. Look forward to seeing him back with the team. But again, that'll be the big topic, and that'll be a lot to look forward to next season.
That's Jeremiah Johnson, Pacers TV. Pacers and Hornets coming up 7 o'clock tonight, 6:30 your coverage. They got you on TV with your pregame, and right here at Pat Boylan on 107.5, 93.5 Fan. I'm curious too. With regard to the Hornets, I've heard some people, not everybody, but some people state that maybe the Hornets could be that type of postseason team in the East that the Pacers were a year ago. I don't quite see that. Do you see that particular angle that's been talked about?
Well, if you think about the Pacers last season, the season prior, they made the run to the Eastern Conference Final. So maybe if there is any comparison, it might be not the Pacers from last season, but the season prior. It's rare that you just jump in to the postseason. Honestly, it's rare that you jump in your first appearance with that group and go to the conference finals. So the Pacers were able to overcome those odds and do that. But they also, to me, I know LaMelo Ball is a veteran, but to have Pascal Siakam and then, think about Miles Turner, how long he had been in the NBA, TJ McConnell, then, the explosiveness of Tyrese Halliburton. I think that the Pacers were just a little bit more of a veteran team over the last couple of seasons. The Hornets are playing really well, and in the regular season, when you have momentum, you can go on runs like this. Tonight, they're trying to win their 9th consecutive road game, but I'm probably going to have to see it to believe it to go on a run like that in the postseason. And their priority probably right now is just to get in because they're 9th or 10th, so that's not where you want to be. You at least need to be 7th or 8th, so your play-in tournament path is easier. So I'm probably not going to go that far as to compare this year's Hornets to last year's Pacers.
And nothing against tonight's game. Everybody needs to watch. Everybody needs to listen. That'd be great. But I can't stand to watch the Hornets play. Seriously, I got to change the channel. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's more of the individualistic style and because I so get used to the Pacers and the ball sharing that goes on, the popping of the basketball. There's the term basketball being stuck is perfect for the Hornets because there is not one time ever offensively where it's not stuck somewhere on the floor.
Well, the one player that has sort of changed their fortunes, and I don't know that I would have expected that at the start of the season, is Con Knippel. He runs around like one of those classic, motion three-point shooters and gets to his spots. And if you give him a little bit of space, it doesn't want to keep moving because he'll put it up, and he's exceeded all expectations I had for his rookie season. So he's been a big key. LaMelo Ball, I know a lot of the younger audience, they enjoy the highlights and some of the social media content that he can put out, but I guess I'll give him credit right now because you don't win 8 straight road games by accident, and I understand what you're saying. And the thing that's a little odd as I was preparing for this game, I don't know, I have it in my head. They're this up-and-down fast break team. They're 26th in fast break points. They were 30th last year. Their big strength is offensive rebounding, and I guess that was not what I expected to see from the numbers, just seeing them once every couple of months. But maybe they're not quite the team that your perception is, and definitely they've improved a lot over the last couple of months.
Yeah, it's funny, too. I think I mentioned this to Denary before. I thought Knippel coming out of Duke was a stretch. I thought, man, I don't know about that. And then he's probably Rookie of the Year right now, isn't he?
Yeah, they're still saying that Cooper Flagg is in the 65-game rule. I looked this up actually over the weekend before the Pacers played the Mavericks, and that rule does not apply to the Rookie of the Year. So he doesn't have to get to 65. His numbers have been incredible. Now, if he doesn't play much the rest of the year and Knippel can get the Hornets into the playoffs and continue to shoot like this, I think it'll be a much more of an even race. But when you're number one and you have some of the games Cooper Flagg did, you kind of have a little bit of an advantage from the start.
So Jeremiah Johnson of Pacers Television on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Anybody jump off the page, guys, that you didn't expect this season? I know all the focus has been on guys like Jarris Walker, for example, with this group. But anybody else jump off the page? I'm going to give you one recently, and I don't know how it pertains to next season whatsoever. But I think Cam Jones is kind of evolving in the right direction right now. He's somebody that is maybe not completely jumped off the page, but I've noticed here as of late. How about you?
Yeah, I would agree. Eddie and I are going to talk about Cam Jones just prior to tip-off tonight, and one of the reasons is that game started on Tuesday night where he scored the Pacers' first 8 points. And I don't care who you are. If you don't have some confidence and some skills, you're not going to be able to do that against a team that was fully healthy and really good. I mean, you didn't have Paul George, but still to have, Maxey and Joel Embiid and the list goes on. He scored the first 8 points for the Pacers. Now, just finished with 13, so maybe they made some adjustments to slow him down. But I compare him a little bit, not in the way he plays, but maybe what the Pacers thought of him when they drafted him. I mean, he was an early second-round pick. Andrew Nembhard was an early second-round pick. And those are the guys, when you're putting this roster together, when you've got a lot of high-priced starters, you need those guys to hit in those first, 2 or 3 years. And you didn't get to see much of Cam Jones to start the season. You kind of forgot about him. He'll probably be the one player I'm watching the most over the last 2 months, and I look forward to continuing to see what he can provide because he was like top 4 all time in scoring at Marquette. He'll probably have his number retired. And, again, you don't do that if you don't have some ability. So we'll be watching Cam Jones. The other battles, I should say, or maybe, individual players that I've enjoyed watching that I'm curious about, Kobe Brown on a short-term basis just the last couple of weeks. He continues to crash the glass. He had 10 rebounds even though his shot wasn't falling on Tuesday. And Micah Potter, can he be a 2 or a 3 center next season? Considering that he was a pickup around Christmas time just to fill a spot when the Pacers needed someone, I think he's exceeded any expectations you might have had for him.
Is there a comparison with Potter and Huff at this point as far as – and I know that Huff has played better as well, but does one or the other do more, you think, as far as the way they play when they get that clock time on the floor?
Yeah, if you're a 2 or a 3 center in the NBA, you're going to do some things well. There are going to be some things that maybe you don't do as well. And so both of them, I guess, maybe a little concern would be the rebounding. Now, by bringing in Ivica Zubac, you're going to really upgrade your rebounding when he's on the floor. Jay Huff would seem to be probably a better three-point shooter, but he's been really streaky and he's better at just, blocking shots. Potter's benefit could be play a little bit of 4, not just a center. I mean, he's a little undersized for a center, but if you need some extra versatility, he could maybe go in the game with some backup 4 minutes. And that's one of the things, you can listen and you can watch and you think, well, guys that may be 3rd center, 3rd guard, 3rd forward next season aren't going to be as big a deal. You don't want to have any injuries, but you're never going to be fully healthy. So those guys need to be able to be plugged in certain circumstances and be able to play. And that's why these games are so important for them at the end of the season.
Yes, Jeremiah Johnson got Pacers TV with the Hornets and the Pacers coming up later on tonight. What else has been going on? It's been a while since we've had a conversation. What else has been happening? You pay attention to the high school level too right now?
Yeah, in fact, I'm looking forward to the sectional next week. My son's a junior at Zionsville, and they've had a pretty good season. They're 12-10 or 13-10, and they'll be playing Noblesville on Tuesday. So I'm going to try to catch that game. I've been a little limited on how many I've been able to watch, but I'm going to try to catch that one and catch a 5 a.m. flight on Wednesday morning to Los Angeles for the Clippers game. So
nice.
I hope to see that. And, again, I have Hoosier hysteria. Always fun when the girls come to Gainbridge Fieldhouse and take over the building. I feel like that sort of starts all of the madness. And so it'll be a great time of the year, college, high school, and then the final 22 or so Pacers games of the regular season.
I have been solid, if not certainly strong on this. I'm still a fan of Benedict Mathurin, even though he's with the Clippers and even though the Pacers are going to see the Clippers. I don't want it to be bad for him. I want him to thrive because I love the way that he played here, and I like his personality as just wanting to play ball and just being a dog as far as a baller is concerned. And I know that he probably ultimately wanted to go someplace else to see if he can expand his individual game, and maybe that wasn't going to be here. But how do you view Mathurin now that he's going to be on the other side, and here relatively soon he's going to be on the other side against the Pacers for the Clippers?
I heard the way you started your show, and I think most people, I would say probably 90 to 95% of the fans agree with you, and I would agree with you as well, that you want to see him do well. He did everything he could for this organization. Again, when this season started, I was fully expecting, 25 to 28 points a game from Benedict Mathurin. And when he had that toe injury and he came back, I think he probably came back before, and this is no surprise, he's tough as they come. Probably came back before he should have and before he could have really shown what he could do. And then I think he had another wrist injury at some point in January. So in a year that had to be really important for him individually and also, with this franchise, didn't really get a fair shake. Now has had a fair shake at, during his time with the Pacers to show what he's capable of. And I think there's a strong opinion of him around the league. Perhaps not the perfect fit with the way the Pacers currently play. And that's just a fact of life a little bit. And so I personally, I'm happy for him that he's going to get this opportunity. Selfishly, I'm glad he went to the Western Conference, and I hope it works out with the Clippers because you hate to see him 4 times a year, and every time he's going to play the Pacers, he's going to really try to, not in a bad way, get back, but you always want to play well against your former team. And so I would expect when the Clippers are in town next month, there absolutely should be a warm welcome and a nice ovation for Benedict Mather. And once the game starts, of course, you're wanting your team and your guys to play well, but I enjoyed it. He was as unique of a young rookie to come into the league as I've ever been around. Had to be on my toes with the interviews because he wasn't always expansive, but sometimes he gave you some really good stuff. And I really did see him mature over his time with the Pacers to where when a practice or a shoot around would end, honestly, he was one of the guys I wanted to go, whether it was off the record or whatever, ask a couple questions to and interact with because he was just very special. And I think he's going to have a really good NBA career moving forward.
By the way, you brought up Zionsville, where you live. So when I went to Miami or South Florida and covered IU on their way to the national championship, I stayed at the Diplomat in Hollywood Beach, and I think most of Zionsville was in that hotel. I met everybody from Zionsville. It was incredible. Everybody from Zionsville in that hotel. And it was an incredible group. You are very lucky. Zionsville, just by virtue of being around those folks, became one of my favorite places because it was a great group. Yes.
Now, I know you've been up to the Friendly Tavern before for your your tour stops and your on location. So hopefully the next time you're able to do that, or maybe one of the other establishments in Zionsville.
Is there another place up there that I haven't hit that I need to? I was at the Buffalo Wild Wings once, and obviously at the Friendly once as well. Are there other places in Zionsville where I need to hit?
I'm sure there are. Rush on Main is a good spot for maybe something like that a little bit of a Cubs theme. You can get an old style in there, and it's got you got to be careful going up the steps, but it's a good spot downtown still in that charm of downtown Zionsville. So that might be my next direction to point you in if you're headed back up to Boone County.
Man, I loved it, though. There's so many good people. It was just more and more. I bet you, seriously, it was like 30 people from Zionsville there. It was incredible.
Well, I'm glad they treated you well, and again, we'll roll the welcome mat out for you anytime you want to come back.
All right, understand this to be true. This is from my angle, not from his, but if JJ ever finds himself not feeling well, the NBA will mandate you being medicated, so you make sure you do your broadcast, okay? My words, not his. Let's make sure we understand that.
Well, I mean, you're under the weather sometimes. I'm not against doing what it takes to get on the air.
Appreciate you, buddy. We'll be watching later on tonight to tell Chris and Quinn and Eddie I said hello, and my apologies across the board for not being around. I want to take a little bit of that pressure off of you guys because you're talking about the same stuff all the time, and I know that can be difficult.
Well, I appreciate it and glad it was nothing that I or we said, and so hopefully we'll do it again before the season comes to a close.
Thank you, brother.
All right, take care.
Jeremiah Johnson again. 6:30 coverage begins. It's also on the Fan later on tonight. 7 the tip time. I don't get the comparisons to the Hornets to the Pacers of a year ago, but some of these NBA national nerds are suggesting that. James, 14 years ago today was a significant moment in sports history. And a precursor to James in the different studio through the glass right there was one Tony Donahue. And Tony Donahue landed this particular person after this moment 14 years ago. We'll play that for you. Really, we celebrate this all the time, so it's nothing new. But it was one of the great moments. And it has to do with tickets we're giving away a little bit later on with bowling and the U.S. Open and Woodland Bowl. 14 years ago today was significant. We'll share that with you. And again, the day after, Tony Donahue actually booked this particular person as a guest on this show. And yeah, you're right if you're thinking it was glorious. It was glorious. Quick break. We'll come back. Mike Chappell, top of the hour. Anthony Richardson can find a new team. Is it going to be the Minnesota Vikings? Seemed like Kevin O'Connell was down with the program, if you remember correctly. A lot of people are pointing the finger there. Where might that be? It's going to be someplace. Someplace is going to give him a chance. Someplace is going to give him a chance, and we'll see if he works out after this. But again, it was a foregone conclusion for a while now. So that information popped, I guess, if you want to call it officially, a little bit earlier today. Mike Chappell coming up at the top of the hour. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for QC Kinetics. Chronic knee pain was an issue for me. It was. And you know me, I want to hoop. I will say this. I kind of bailed last night. I feel bad. I didn't get down in time to play last night, but normally it's 3, 4, 5 days a week for me. 317-559-PAIN is where you go with QC Kinetics today to find out exactly what you need to know and how you need to get back on track. If you have chronic pain of any kind, let my friends at QC Kinetics help you out in a variety of ways. And that's exactly what they've done for me, too. It uses your own body's biologics. That's what it does, to help rid you of that troublesome pain. And for me, that's exactly what it was. It was a problem. It was keeping me from doing things that I love to do. I don't want that to happen to you. 2 locations in Greenwood, 1 in Carmel. That is QC Kinetics, the 317-559-PAIN today. Give them a call and see if you qualify. If you do, put the wheels in motion for you to get back on track and to do the things you love to do. Get back into action today with my friends from QC Kinetics. Again, tell them I sent you. 317-559-PAIN. That's QC Kinetics today. 317-559-PAIN.
The Ride with JMV.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Strike to claim it. A strike to claim it. And he got it!
That is why I did it!
the greatest moment in bowling history. 14 years ago today, Pete Weber winning the 2012 U.S. Open. And with that dialogue, became the greatest of all time. I was trying to think some of the great, obviously around here we know of the great bowlers. If you've watched Kingpin, you know of the great bowlers. Big Ern McCracken comes to mind. That was a Big Ern McCracken moment right there. It was Bill Murray in the film Kingpin. 2012 U.S. Open. And what was so great about that is Tony Donahue, who produced the show at the time, got Pete Weber on this show the day after. And as you guys remember, it was glorious. Absolutely glorious. Who do you think you are? I am.
Isn't the funniest part about that he was yelling at a kid in the audience?
It was great. Then the next day he was on. We talked about that. So great. 14, that's how seems like yesterday, but that thing was forever ago. 14 years ago today. Pete Weber. Hey, this reminder, April the 30th, beginning at 10:30, Legends Golf Club. That's down in Franklin. Mark your calendar. Thursday, April the 30th, we are going to have our golf outing, the Fan Invitational 2026 golf outing presented by Franciscan Health. Back again is going to be absolutely spectacular. We're all going to be there, and I am doing the basketball shooting competition again. And the one thing I would suggest is when you guys get your foursomes together, you can save big right now. Save big right now, individually or with a foursome. 1075thefan.com. But save big with the early bird special right now, but make sure you bring somebody that can shoot a little bit. Man, some of these dudes last year couldn't shoot a lick. But we are doing the shooting contest again. I'm incredibly excited about it, and I cannot wait. It's our Fan Invitational golf outing presented by Franciscan Health. We're talking one-of-a-kind experiences, sports memorabilia. We're all going to be doing our shows out there, and then I'm going to be kicking your ass in the basketball shooting game. What more can you ask for? 18 holes of golf. Getting your ass whipped by me. That's just great. Mark your calendar. April the 30th, but better yet, make sure you're a part of it right now. Log on and take advantage of that early bird special. 1075thefan.com. Mike Chappell, top of the hour. Logan's at 239-1070. Hello, Logan. How are you?
Doing all right. Yeah, I got a place for you over in the Zionsville, Whitestown area if you haven't been. Have you been to Moontown?
No, tell me a little bit about Moontown here because, listen, I fell a little bit in January. I fell a little bit in love with those from Zionsville. So, yes, Moontown. Tell me more.
Yes, so Moontown, I think it's right up your alley. It used to be the old high school gym when Whitestown back in the day did have a high school.
Okay.
They've converted it into a local brewery, scratch kitchen, the whole deal. And they've got a little space that, where the gym really was. I think you could set up a table. So I think you should check it out.
Well, let's. Can you tell them that I'm up for it? Now, I will ask you this.
Yeah,
Last time I did a show in Zionsville, it was like people in Zionsville got pissy about people in Whitestown and vice versa. Is that still there?
There is
that lingering?
They do a summer competition. It's true.
So what's the competition all about here? What's going on with Whitestown?
I believe last year it was a who could run more miles type deal, one of those fundraiser things. But it's a healthy animosity. I like to. We lived in Whitestown and now live in Zionsville, so we claim both.
So
that's okay.
what? All right, can you be Logan? Honestly, what's better, Zionsville or Whitestown? Where would you go right now? Where's your lean?
That's tough. I gotta go right now. Moontown's our favorite, which is Whitestown.
Okay.
So
I got
That's what
you.
I'm going to go with. Yeah.
All right, Logan's going to go with Whitestown right now. Moontown is where I tell you what, I'm going to send a shout out to my friend Romy and see if we can get a jump start on trying to get a live show out there. Because as you mentioned, we've been in Zionsville, we've done the friendly, and the wings and the legend of that place is great. And we often hear about Rush on Main. That's the first time I've ever heard about this location in Whitestown.
No, it's wonderful, and both are good and different menu items, but yeah, can't go wrong with either.
Do they have
checking it out?
Do they have a cottage cheese selection on the menu? Do we know this?
They've got coleslaw. I don't know if they have cottage cheese.
All right. Well, coleslaw is a bummer for me, but we'll ask about it. That's okay. Not everybody. I'm trying to make sure everybody that has that has cottage cheese on the menu from here on out. But no,
that's understandable. I can't blame you for that. My wife is a big cottage cheese.
Hell yes, we all are. Can you believe how cottage cheese has taken over right now? I never thought cottage cheese would be this popular in my life. Is it because of me, or is it all of us together on this?
No, I think it's making a resurgence. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was here. Like, I didn't even think it was like known before this. I just thought it was. Oh, by the way, here's some cottage cheese.
No, I got it from my grandparents, and my wife got it from hers. So German Irish heritage, I guess, passed it on to us. So
Logan, thank you. Moontown again. Moontown and Whitestown, correct?
Absolutely. Yep, that's the one.
All right, Moontown. Romy, if you're out there listening, man, get on the trail of Moontown and Whitestown, according to Logan. I know that maybe I'm taking the credit for cottage cheese there a little bit, but I never knew cottage cheese other than an oh, by the way, before we all started to enjoy the greatness of cottage cheese as a part of this show. I know that sometimes when you go out for a nice meal, they'll give you a little dish of cottage cheese out there, a little nice half circle, and then give you some Lance Captain's wafers right next to it. And honestly, you probably wouldn't touch the cottage cheese, but you would eat the Lance Captain's wafers. It seems like now that everybody's dialed in on cottage cheese. I mean, hell, I'm seeing Daisy brand cottage cheese commercials alongside basketball games. I think I'm going to take credit for that. I mean, nobody out there was dialed into cottage cheese before me. You're welcome. Cottage cheese industry, and especially one of our partners as a part of this show has been Daisy Brand. We know that to be true. George says Moontown is amazing. There's another vote for Moontown. Jarrett writes this: JMV Public House in Zionsville, owned by my neighbors, would be a good tavern tour stop location. By the way, too, regarding the Pacers, I've heard that Boozer makes quick decisions with the ball and makes me think he might be the best fit for the Pacers. Again, that is Jarrett. So, all right, his neighbors, that would be the Public House in Zionsville. The Public House in Zionsville, his neighbors are the owners. So if you know of that, let me know, Public House in Zionsville, so we can get up there. Now, regarding Cameron Boozer, here's what I think, and this is my incredibly novice, loving basketball opinion. Of any of those in the top four, whether you're talking about Peterson or Wilson, Mazzanzo from BYU, and in this case, who I'm talking about is Boozer, from what people tell you, is that Boozer may be more ready-made for a team like the Pacers, and here's why. Can fit in and can, I guess, for lack of a better description, can take off running once you hit the ground and be rotational, whereas, and I know we're talking about very talented others, but maybe it's going to take the others a little bit. Maybe he doesn't have, and I think it's been described as not having the ceiling as the others, but being able to take off and be somebody that's going to contribute earlier than the others with a better team. And I think that is, if they get 1 through 4, an apt description of the Pacers. Jared, just a thought right there. JMV, large curd cottage cheese, or GTFO. I think I know what GTFO means. I'm going for the low-fat variety. I'm not doing anything that's 110. I'm not living in a world of 110 caloric intake right there. I'm going like 80 or 90. But I will tell you this. As much as I like Daisy Brand, the Good Culture James cottage cheese is the most legit. It's my favorite right now. Now, this is twofold. The commentary on Good Culture, I love it, but it resembles wallpaper paste and at times may taste like it. I'm not sure. I've not had wallpaper paste, but it looks very much like it. Good Culture right now is the clubhouse leader in terms of cottage cheese that I love. So you get a top 4 evaluation of NBA predicted draftable players and an upper tier, upper tank cottage cheese selection by me. Good Culture, James. The cottage cheese of choice right now. Calls on the other side. Mike Chappell coming up at the top of the hour. Might it be the Minnesota Vikings for Anthony Richardson? And, hey, I'm saying this. I brought up Benedict Mathurin a little bit earlier. You know how much I like Benedict Mathurin. Will you find it difficult to hope that Anthony Richardson plays? I'm just going to say plays in general before I say plays at a higher level. Wherever it might be that he ends up. Would you have confidence that wherever he ends up next, he's going to be able to do anything compared to what he did not do here? Mike Chappell, top of the hour, NFL Combine conversation and more coming up. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John, for the District Tap, I've got 2 locations for you. Hey, tonight, downtown Indianapolis. What do you guys think? A block from the field house? A little post up there prior to, a little post gamer on a Thursday. The District Tap has you covered. And right now, you can take advantage of great happy hour specials, damn good food, TVs everywhere. You can go, I'll give you a great example. You can watch what the Pacers are doing. Also, eyeball on the Peacock what's happening with Michigan State and Purdue. It is the perfect location, whether it's downtown or a Clearwater Crossing. And again, damn good food, happy hour specials, the absolute best. And I can tell you this, they also offer up live music, event space. You can celebrate. It is a destination location for dates, for family get-togethers, for you and the fellas going to the game, or just hanging out on a Thursday night. That is the District Tap. Clearwater Crossing, north side, downtown Indy, a block from the field house as well. To find out more about it, thedistricttap.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Awesome! Totally awesome! All right, Hamilton.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, I mentioned 90s music coming up on the JMV Takeover on Saturday. Anybody, what favorite decade of music? I know mostly, if you're like me, it's probably digging of the 80s right here. But what's the favorite decade? 80s, 90s, 70s? More of today? 2000s to 2000, 2010, 10, 20? Got a favorite decade over there, James?
I'd probably have to lean 80s, honestly.
80s?
Yeah.
See, I often wonder this, because I hear, and this is a musical angle for you right here, but I often hear that everybody's favorite is the 1980s. And sometimes when I go and I do the 90s, I'm not really held to do anything. I can do whatever the hell I want. They say, here's 6 hours on our top-rated radio station in this market. And this is what's so amazing about and why I love doing it is because Sean Copeland, who's the program director and the morning show host, says, I don't care what you do. Just do whatever you want. And that just doesn't happen. So I turn it over to you to give you a taste, if certainly a 6 hour sense of what radio should be about. It's live, it's in studio, it's interactive. I mean, hell, that's what we do right here. So obviously, even in the music format, whatever it is, that's what I love to do there. But more often than not, when I play the 90s, I do hear from folks saying, yeah, I know you're doing the 90s. That's really not my favorite. I love the 90s. I guess I can get it a little bit because maybe that's how I feel about once we get into the 2010s, for example. But the 80s, I think, are always the most popular, but the best requests, I think, come from the 90s and then when we do whatever. Because when we do whatever, it is all over the map. And as I've mentioned this before, I hear from people all the time, what's it matter? You can get whatever song you want at the touch of a button, but it's different when you call in because essentially you guys can DJ up. I will put you in a position to DJ up a song, and you don't get that opportunity to do that live on the radio anyplace else in America. Because most of everybody else at radio stations in America are completely lazy ass and they won't go in and do it. So we give you that opportunity every Saturday, and I think that's what is a lot different than just playing it on your own wherever you want. You can hear it. I'm going to make you sound good. We're going to have some fun doing it. But the 80s mostly would be the most popular. But it seems like that I get more 90s calls than I do any other. Just a thought right there. Enigma and Return to Innocence with some chanting going on was the reentry right there. Nothing but the 90s coming up on B105.76 until midnight with the JMV Takeover on Saturday night. Kirk writes this, Boozer's dad was a double-double machine. That's what you want, but this should be a game-changing pick. Sadly, stay away from that KU kid, diva, or injury-prone. Doesn't really matter. I think a lot of people feel the same. The only hesitation I have, Kirk, I think to that is that oftentimes we make this snap decision because of how, for example, this person is collegiately, and then they end up at that next level being a huge difference maker. But I sitting here right now, I completely agree with you on that. That would be a tough call because you got to have that availability and, being out, having the sniffles or whatever, and then putting your team and your teammates in that situation night in and night out, as it seems like it's happened a lot, would be tired. And frankly, if you're an NBA team of need, I don't know if you would want to blank with that level of what I view as entitlement. You got to deal with that anyway on most levels. I think at that particular level, that would be the last thing you would want to have to jack with, is that type of perceived entitlement, as we have seen. All right, Mike on the other side. Hang on, we'll get to you. Mike Chappell is going to join us coming up after the top of the hour. Where does Anthony Richardson end up, if anywhere? Is there going to be interest out there? Is there a team out there that will justify a deal, and you're asking what they're going to get in return? Maybe a song, and that's about it. Where might be a landing spot, and do you look at this organization, this coaching staff, and do you wonder if maybe things change production-wise for him in a different environment, a different spot, or is it just going to be the same old, same old? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the NFL Combine and a lot more, too, because we're not too far from free agency. And, of course, both Ballard and Steichen met with the media. It's Shane Steichen with me earlier this week. That podcast, 1075thefan.com. From CBS 4 and Fox 59, Mike Chappell going to join us on the other side. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge, YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. It is the best in plumbing, LD Smith Plumbing and Drains, 317-927-7186. I don't know if you've looked at the long term, but simply put, as we get closer to the end of winter and then into spring, there's going to be a lot of rain, a lot of wet weather. You do not want a situation that arises in and around your foundation with water not draining the way that it should, meaning you have clogged pipes. Never have, fellas, you know this to be true. Clogged pipes are detrimental to the program. So you got to go with the best here, and the best in plumbing is Lance and his local team at LD Smith Plumbing and Drains, 317-927-7186. Also ask about the great deal they have right now on your sump pump. That is essential, is it not, in your home to make sure that water doesn't end up in places where you don't want it. That's LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. Ask about their deal on a sump pump when you buy right now a battery backup for that sump pump. That's LD Smith Plumbing and Drains, 317-927-7186. Online, ldsmithplumbing.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
Just an average guy with exceptional hair.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Damn right about that. Sean Collinsworth, who I think is going to go over and watch me. What did I ring the bell or sound the alarm or blow the whistle or what the hell am I doing over at Indiana State? I can't wait to do it on Sunday. I'm hoping that they give me the nod to go out there and suit up because I think I could get out there and play with these dudes. Indiana State, a loser on the road last night to Southern Illinois. None of that crap on Sunday when I'm over there and they face UIC. We're going to have some beverages and watch some hoop, and I'm going to, toot the horn or ring the bell or sound the alarm or blow the whistle or something. It'll be like New Bomb Turk and Hollywood Nights. Maybe I'll fart the song. Who knows? You guys know what I'm talking about? You ever seen Hollywood Nights? New Bomb Turk? No. Robert Wool, the actor?
Not ringing a bell.
He farted the song in front of the school during an assembly. It was Volare. That is one of the great comedic classics that a lot of people do not know. There's a fantastic mixture of your garden variety teen level humor and some, as I like to put it, James, toplessness, which, thank you very much. When I was 10 years old, that was necessary. And today, too. It is a classic comedy that a lot of people forget. It's called The Hollywood Nights, and not like the Hollywood Nights Seeger song, but the Hollywood Nights is in Knighted. Check that out. Hey, if you've never seen the Hollywood Nights, I'm going to go ahead and I need a movie report from you. Watch it. Report back to me. New Bomb Turk. The one-armed violinist. The Peeing and the Punch. That's all really good stuff, James.
It's got Michelle Pfeiffer and
Michelle
Tony
Pfeiffer.
Danza.
I believe that is her first acting role. And see, that was a film that not even Tony Danza could blank up, which is amazing. I was down on Radio Row, and I forget when this was. I was on Radio Row, and Robert Wool, who was, if you remember, on HBO, he had a show, he was an agent called Arliss. And Robert Wool, who was also in one of our favorite films, Bull Durham, came on the show with me. And he was shocked because we spent most of the time he was on with me talking about his role as New Bomb Turk in Hollywood Nights. I can also tell you this, given the fact that you get Michigan State Purdue later on tonight, there's no bigger fan out there of the Hollywood Nights and New Bomb Turk than the head coach of the Boilermakers, Matt Painter. We trade lines from Hollywood Nights. He's a big fan of Hollywood Nights and Eastbound and Down. He loves him some Kenny Powers and New Bomb Turk. Matt Painter. Michigan State, Purdue, Mackey Arena, West Lafayette, the third and final of 3 consecutive games in West Lafayette. That is a Peacock game. Brandon Gaudin and Robbie Hummel coming up later on tonight. That's a big one for the Boilermakers, too. Sparty and the Boilers tonight at 8 o'clock. Getting Peacock for that. If you're on hold, I'll get to you coming up on the other side, too. We've got a battle for Whitestown and Zionsville. Who wants to show up there? JJ started that last hour. Podcast 1075thefan.com. And we go all the way back to hour number 1. And Chad Ryder, who joined us from the NFL Network, a breakdown of the NFL Combine, and most specifically of the 9 Indiana Hoosiers that are a part of the NFL Combine coming up this weekend as well. Hey, Sean Collinsworth, I was going to mention that, so I'm over in Terre Haute coming up on Sunday. He says Michigan brand cottage cheese sounds something right up your alley. It's mighty tasty. Much like the state of Michigan, shout out Dusty May, but much like the state of Michigan, I'm very disappointed in Michigan cottage cheese.
Well, I would think more about...
They may need to put some weed in it because that's the only reason why anybody likes Michigan right now in the first place is because it has weed in it. Legalized weed.
If I'm getting cheese from anywhere, I'm going to Wisconsin anyway.
Michigan brand cottage cheese, and Sean, I've had it, and I'm not a big fan of it. Much like the state of Michigan itself. So really, it kind of plays the role of Michigan. Michigan brand, good culture. Try good culture and thank me later. It looks like that you can caulk your bathtub with it, but you'll like it, I promise. Seriously, it looks like you can caulk the bath. You go, wait a minute, what is this? It looks like, did you have in your art box when you went to school back in the day, elementary, in your art box, you have like paste?
Oh, yeah.
Did you have a little thing of paste? It looks like paste.
Like Elmer's glue?
Yeah. And I don't know. I was always compelled to see what that tastes like back then, too. Or at least sniff it to get a little bit of a buzz.
Why am I not shocked?
Looks like paste. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline, the pride of Beech Grove. We saw him on Tuesday, has been a part of the NFL Combine from CBS 4 and Fox 59. Mike Chappell joins us right now. So it wasn't a secret that Anthony Richardson was not going to be a part of the future, and today I think also solidifies that as well. Do you think that there's going to be any level of interest out there for Richardson in a trade type of idea?
Yes. Oh, without question. Look at go and look at 32 teams and 64 quarterbacks and tell me that somebody doesn't think, this guy's worth rolling the dice on. Now, the thing is, other teams certainly don't have the 3 years of up-close exposure and experience that we do as Colts fans and Colts media. I think I'm very comfortable saying I've seen enough here. I think there's been enough. I'm gonna say damage. There's been enough negative things, the injuries, and how he would get past the tap out, and what I've always said, and I still believe this. Of all the injuries, which are awful and certainly realistic or legitimate, I think the biggest black mark against Anthony Richardson is they benched him two games for not preparing properly. That's ridiculous. That can't happen. I think it was in year 2 in 24. That's what bothers me, and I think it'd be really hard for portions of the team, maybe even teammates. I don't know. We'll never get the full thing on how the teammates believe in him. They certainly did early on. They named him a captain, for crying out loud, which was, in all honesty, part of the problem, that he was named a captain as a rookie. But I just think he of everybody we've dealt with that needs a fresh start, he does. I asked Chris Ballard on Tuesday, and he said, does he need a complete fresh start? And he didn't agree with that. But he's still, and as much as he says I like Anthony Richardson, and I still believe in Anthony Richardson, there still has to be some pause there. But can you really turn back to him? And the fact that they have hitched their wagon to Daniel Jones, which is undeniable. The next news to come out will either be that they've got a long-term deal done with Daniel Jones or a long-term deal done with Alec Pierce, or both. But I think both get done. But with Richardson, it's time. And then the only question is going to be, what kind of a draft pick can you get? All I remember is the 49ers got a 4 out of Dallas for Trey Lance. And Richardson has shown more in his time on the field than Trey Lance did. So there is somebody out there. I remember seeing a clip, I think it was from 24, I think, when Minnesota's Kevin O'Connell met him at midfield or whatever and said, hey, I still believe in you. You're going to have a great career and all this. I know that he had a strong interest in Richardson coming out. There will be a market because he's 23, for crying out loud. Turns 24 in May. And the talent is just over the charts there. But there's so much more to playing quarterback as far as the, not being benched for not being prepared. That's a hard thing to get past again. But if somebody can harness the talent, it's such a crazy career, as short as it is. He's got single season Colts records for rushing yards and rushing touchdowns for a quarterback. And he completed a franchise record low 47% of his passes in 24. So, and he's a career 50% thrower in a league that you need to complete 65%. I remember when at the end of that year, I mentioned what he had. If he completed his next 190 passes, whatever it was, some stupid number, he still would rank last in the league in completion percentage. So that's something that until that number gets from 50 to 62, 63, I don't know how he plays effectively as a quarterback. But we've seen too many people be given chances again and again because of the talent possibilities and the fact he'll be 24 in this summer, so he'll get a chance. The question is, what kind of a draft pick will you get? 4 or 5, I don't know. I would hope you get a 5 at worst for him. And you just say, it didn't work, and a lot of reasons it didn't work. Some on Richardson, some on the Colts, and you just wish him well.
Mike, is there a hint of irony in this, that the realization has been brought forth of a change in scenery for Anthony Richardson, yet there's not been that similar realization organizationally speaking right here? Is there a hint of irony in all that?
Well, I don't. You mean the fact that the team won't admit that there needs to be a change of scenery?
Yeah, the fact that we keep going down this path, but you're willing to go ahead and reset on a mistake that you made, yet those that made the mistake themselves, we realize there needs to be a change there, and there's not. And I know that's more of a Carly Ursay Gordon question right there, but damn.
Gordon question. Yes,
well, what do we? It is so funny that you realize it from that angle, yet you're unable to realize it for whatever reason at really ultimately the most important.
Well, and you say, well, you guys are the ones that mucked this up. I mean, their hands are in this. It just is. And Chris Ballard's even told us that in hindsight they messed up by giving it to him too soon, that he wasn't ready. This is a guy that played 13 games in college. I think it was 13 games, 13 starts, and so much was just sort of handed to him. I can still remember so much of us were surprised when. Was it before the first preseason game, or where Scheinsteiger said he's our quarterback, and I know Gardner Minshew was surprised. So I think that give them a mulligan, they would handle it differently. But you can't go back, and so it's they and again, while whether or not they picked the wrong guy, they certainly handled it the wrong way, and there was way too much enabling going on that it took until whatever it was during year 2 to say, this guy doesn't get it. He's not dedicated enough. And boy, if you have to, there were stories about Kyler Murray and his preparation. Remember they were going to put in, was it a study hall thing or I think a study thing?
Yeah, you got to do this much prep work or this much daily work. Yeah,
that's your guy, and you're paying him.
It's like what your mom would do for you. Yeah.
Yes. And if that's the case with you, if it's your backup linebacker, you got to keep harping on. Okay, but not your quarterback, not the guy that you named a captain. So they did so much of that I'm sure they would love to do it again. And whether things change or not, I don't know. Maybe if he sits a year behind Minshew, I never got the impression Minshew would have been a great mentor to him. It'd be like, watch what I do, kid. But too much was given to him too soon without having to earn it. Even the 4th overall pick in the draft based on so much, and we'll never know because Chris will never give us a whole story for a lot of reasons. But how much did Jim Irsay push? After Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud were gone, well, doggone it, we have to have a quarterback. Get us a quarterback, and it was Anthony Richardson or Will Levis. And how'd that work out? How's that working out in Tennessee with Will Levis? Even worse than this. So, but when you're in a position of always chasing after a quarterback. It's bad enough when you're chasing a pass rusher, a left tackle, but when you're chasing a quarterback, it makes you do, desperation. Whenever you're doing things out of desperation, there's much more chance of mistakes because you're chasing mistakes, and boy, we got to get it right this time. As I said, while they've had this quarterback thing going on, the rest of the roster has gotten older. Not old, but older. So you've got to get it right. Hopefully they've got it right with Daniel Jones. We won't know until July. Is he practicing? Then October, November, is he still playing it? And is he playing at a good level? But if they've got it right, fine. If not, it's going to be a couple of dark years in Indianapolis. So I understood what Chris was saying on Tuesday, but this was the only outcome, and a trade is the only outcome that makes sense. So, and again, I hope he goes somewhere. He's a good kid. He's not a bad guy at all. And we've been in the locker room with some bad guys. Not a lot of them, but some guys are like, what a not good guy, because I won't use the words on the air. But that's not him. I think he's a good teammate. He just doesn't have that it. To this point, didn't have the Peyton Manning it, or the Tom Brady it, or the Andrew Luck it. Not talent, but the mindset, the DNA of what it takes to be the leader of a franchise. And I hope he gets it. I hope he goes somewhere and has a really good career.
So Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59 on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Do you envision Riley Leonard being the backup here? And we all know what they want out of Daniel Jones, and we'll see when they end up getting him back to start the season here and what they end up paying for him. But do you envision Riley Leonard being the backup, or might they find something a little bit more veteran presence to do that?
I think they bring in a veteran presence and then let those two guys figure it out. Riley Leonard and fill in the blank, whoever, and it's the same names. It's the same names of why you've got the Daniel Jones is the better option for what you saw in 10 games. Because you want Justin Fields, you want Mariota, you want Jameis Winston. I mean, the names are the same ones. But yes, I think they were pleasantly surprised with how well Riley played in that last game. But I don't know that they would just hand him the backup job, and I do think there'll be a veteran presence in here to compete for that job.
It's Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59 on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So what are they looking for in this draft without a number one? And I know that Chris Ballard had mentioned, I guess, yesterday that you would expect them to trade back. What exactly are they looking for? What are they trying to replenish, you think, on the surface here?
Oh, defense. Defensive line. They're going to lose Kwity Paye and Samson Ebukam and probably Tyquan Lewis. Those are three players with significant reps from last year, and it was great news that DeForest Buckner is ready to come back and play from that surgery, and we'll see how soon he comes back from that. But he and Grover Stewart are getting a little older, so they've got to replenish that. And, boy, they've got to replenish the linebacker room.
Yeah, I agree. So we get a sense that Charvarius Ward is going to be back in the fold. At least that's what we got as of yesterday as well. What other changes are you looking for as far as both sides of the football here, or what remains the same? I'd said this all along, Mike. I think that because we can view this as a lame duck season for a lot of folks within the organization and on the coaching staff, that a lot of what we see is going to remain the same, or at least that's what they hope.
Yes. I do think they need to get the right side of the offensive line figured out. Is it going to be Gonzalez right guard and Jalen Travis right tackle? Probably. If that doesn't work, then they put Gonzalez at right tackle and find a right guard, whether it's Tucker or Travis. I don't think Braden Smith comes back. I just don't. He's going to want too much of a contract than what they can pay, and they drafted two guys to replace him, to replace that position. Nick Cross, I don't know that they can afford to bring him back, just because they're going to sink some pretty good money into Jones and Pierce, and they're already they've got like $35 million under the cap, which you can do things to give you the room you need. You can extend or whatever. Buckner and Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, they're going to do something with his contract. They're going to have to. They really can't and don't want to carry him at $29 million. But I was a little surprised that Chris Ballard sort of made it sound like that. Sure, he's going to be back. So I mean, that's sort of like how he put it. But they need to do something with his contract, and they Quentin Nelson, his contract. They've got 4 or 5 guys to go to, not to ask for pay cuts. Players aren't going to take pay cuts, but you can extend them, add years to them to lower the cap number, and they'll do that. But yeah, they're going to lose a handful of players. They just are. That's why when again from the first time we talked to Chris after the season, he made it so clear that Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce were going nowhere. They're part of it, and he mentioned that on Tuesday. He said, you know, that Pierce and Jones are such big parts of where they're going to go, and then they'll make things fit around them. And after you give Bynum, you know, the $60 million contract, and Mooney Ward $60 million last year, and now you're going to give Pierce, I don't know, $25 million a year. And I don't know what Jones is going to get. I really don't. 30, 35 million. I can't see it going to 40, but you just don't know because of the injury. But you know, there is only so much you can do with the cap. I mean, you can make it sing for you, but at some point you got to. It does restrict you, and at the same time, you're talking cash. You know, there's going to be an outlay of cash. I thought Buckner had like a $10 million roster bonus due at the start of the new league year. And when you re-sign Jones and re-sign Pierce, there's going to be some upfront money. There is. So, you know, and for a smaller market team, you know, cash matters. They just don't have, you know, $200 million sitting in we're going to pay these guys bonuses out of this. It's not like that. So, but they'll make it work. They'll get done what they need to get done. And the guys that they'd like to have back and can't make it work, Nick Cross maybe, somebody like that, they'll find Hunter Wohler, the guy, the rookie that was hurt last year, can step in, and you'll find a suitable replacement, not as good as Nick Cross. Nick Cross turned into a pretty good player, and that's the good and the bad about drafting is when you hit on a draft pick, you get him for 4 years at your cost, and when they either equal or exceed your expectations, then you got to pay them. So I think somebody mentioned that Chris Ballard, maybe it was on one of your radio shows, where he said, that both sides did their job. We got the right guy, we developed him, and then Nick Cross maximized what he's done. So and that's where you come to make tough decisions, and it's always good to have tough decisions when it's, can we afford to keep this guy, as opposed to, do we really want to keep this guy because maybe he's not what we need at that position. But again, I think they've got 4 or 5 moves they're going to make. The quarterback, the receiver, those are going to get done. They do not want to franchise either one of those guys. I don't think they'll need to. And then can they get something done in free agency? I mean, I keep seeing people targeting Trey Hendrickson to the Colts. Really, he's 30, 31, and he's been injured.
That makes zero sense to me.
I know. So that's why I see, we were talking to Daniel Jeremiah, a great draft analyst, and he was talking about fits for teams and all this, and how New England needs to get him a top receiver. He said, well, maybe the Patriots can go after Alec Pierce. And I'm thinking, they won't have a chance. People keep thinking, like Pierce is like the second-ranked receiver on the market, that would get to the market. He won't get to the market. Neither will Andrew Jones. But what they're doing is sort of running it back. I know a lot of guys, I don't think Chris really likes that term, but that's really what they're doing. And I understand that for the 8-2 for what they did, because man, they were pretty damn good, weren't they? At 8-2. And they should have beaten the Rams, and yeah, they should have lost to Denver. I understand that, but they were pretty good. And if they can recapture that and get another, near all-pro season out of Jonathan Taylor, this can be a pretty good team if Daniel Jones gets healthy and can recapture the way he played the first half of last year.
Mike, it's a pleasure as always, man. Great to see you on Tuesday, too, and we'll catch back up next Thursday and see what the hell's up.
You guys be well and stay safe.
It's Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. So I got Mike and Jay and Bill. Do I see Fulton? Fulton said he's been on hold forever. Has Fulton been on hold forever?
He has not, no.
Fulton!
He just called in.
I got time for your calls. In fact, I think we got a little bit after 6 o'clock coming up here, too. So if you're already on, stay there. If you're not, get there as we close it out. Michigan State, Purdue tonight, Mackey Arena, 8 o'clock. And you're peacocked. Brandon Gaudin and Robbie Hummel on Peacock later on tonight for a big one within the Big Ten. And you've got the Pacers and the Hornets coming up later on tonight. 6:30, your coverage begins here later on tonight with Pat Boylan. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with your calls and more on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Oh, let's talk it up here. Big Red Liquors with some great deals going on this weekend for you, too. How about the Red Hot Spirit deals for the 100-plus locations through the state of Indiana? Big Red Liquors, Fireball 10-packs, 2 for $18 going on. That's right now. Sazerac Rye, 6 years, 750s. You're going to save $10 on that product. I talk about this all the time, too. Great deals on the beers that you love. Busch Light, 16-ounce. Sierra Nevada Family, 12-pack cans. Guinness, 8-packs. You're going to save $5. Both Corona and Modelo, 12-ounce, 24-pack cans. A savings of $5. And Michelob Ultra Zero, 12-pack cans. You're going to save there as well. That's Big Red Liquors getting you set for the weekend. Anybody out there hosting a party? Anybody out there hosting a party that you've yet to invite me to? Well, I'm curious because I know this to be true. Your party supplier, as always, Big Red Liquors. Just your weekend fun. And it is the power of the JMV Takeover. Every Saturday night, 6 until midnight on B105.7. They run 100-plus locations. There's one near you, the Red Hot Deals, the Speakeasy, and more you can find right now. BigRedLiquors.com. There, that's awesome right there. But thank you very much. Thanks for adjusting that. Jackie Young right there. That goes back to 2015, the 3A state championship, Princeton over Tippecanoe Valley, 72-44. Jerry Baker, Jane Shutt on the call. You know Jackie Young and how good she has been. Going back to her days, 2018 NCAA champion with Notre Dame, the WNBA first overall selection by Las Vegas, and still going strong there as well. This is the type of stuff you're going to see coming up on Saturday, too. The Class A final, Borden and Fremont, the 2A, Eastern Pekin and Oak Hill, Roncalli, Belmont, and 3A, and Center Grove and Norwell to round out the Saturday evening in the 4A contest. All of what you're going to see. Some greatness. You really will this weekend coming up on Saturday, Cambridge Fieldhouse. The IHSAA Girls Basketball State Finals presented by the Indiana Fever and the Indiana Pacers. That is Saturday at Cambridge Fieldhouse. Check it out.
The Ride with JMV. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I like to move it, move it. There's zero way anybody out there outside of me knows who sang this back in the 1990s. This would be James Reel to Reel. That's REEL, the number 2. Reel. Reel to Reel. I like to move it.
I feel like the only reason anybody my age or younger would know this is because it was in Madagascar back in the day.
Was it really?
Oh, yeah.
I know this. I put this alongside of the 1990s, a song called Moving On Up by M People. I believe that's what that was. 90s coming up on Saturday night on the JMV Takeover over on B105.7. 317-239-1070, the text line. JMV, and I don't agree with this whatsoever, and I'll tell you why. Does anyone else feel like Chap has lost some credibility after bragging about not voting in Belichick for a Hall of Fame? I don't, because I think he's earned it over the years, and I think a lot of that is just, who cares? That's his opinion. So he's a reporter, and then his opinion as a voter was asked, and he gave it. It's kind of like here. Sometimes I think everybody mixes up reporters to those that have opinions, like columnists or talk show hosts. You know what I mean? Reporters are going to be different. So I wouldn't, and I don't expect you to be this way at all. I don't think you are. I think if you're a jackass, you might. Is that fair to say? If you're a jackass, you might. And if you're not, you may not like him. And maybe you feel that he's wrong in that. And I've often asked this after that whole saga with Belichick not being inducted coming up in August into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Why does anybody around here care? I think that most notably people around here cared because they just are finding a reason to be pissy about something. Finding a reason to be mad. You know the folks I'm talking about too. You just roll out of bed being mad. Or that's your stick for being mad. I'm angry about something. That's my stick. Your stick's to be a jackass. Or you just wake up every day thinking, you know what? I don't really like where I am right now, so I think I'm going to be a jackass. That's kind of how I view that. Obi Toppin, James, back later on tonight. Obi Toppin on a minutes restriction is back. G, I'm going to have to call G on my way home. And I go, G, your guy is back. Obi is back. I'll be honest with you. I have missed Obi Toppin a great deal. I know this season has wins, losses wise stunk. I hate talking about gap years. That stinks too. It's a way you have to view it that way, but it stinks in terms of it. Yeah. Hey, great losing. Let's justify it. I understand. Minutes restriction. Obi is back. Hornets Pacers later on tonight. 7p. 6:30 coverage. Pat Boylan's got you covered. Right here, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Boilermakers, Michigan State tonight. That tip time's at 8 o'clock. Mackey Arena, West Lafayette. Peacocked you are later on this evening with that. All right, Mike, let's let Mike lead here at 239-1070. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, JMV, fellow Sycamore from the past. How you doing?
Are you going to go over there on Sunday to watch me ring the bell or sound the alarm or blow the whistle or, hell, I don't know what I'm doing.
I just might, but don't forget to get down to the Wabash Cannonball.
Well, oh, yeah. Is that where I can drink down there before the game?
That's right, and don't forget Ballyhoo.
Well, you get the Ballyhoo, Copper Bar, Terminal, and
Severals.
I think Moggers. My kid likes Moggers a lot over there too. So yeah, Cimarrones is no longer with us, and I love that too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
But no, you have. I'm outlined too. That is going to be my Sunday. Plus, Matt Gray's maybe give me a shot to get a little clock over there because I think they need a little infusion of enthusiasm that I would bring at 56 years of age, and I can stroke it a little bit. So I think I could at least be a threat against UIC, right?
Most definitely. I remember playing with you back in the day. We could both shoot the three.
There's no doubt. My man Mike, if you can shoot it, you can play. There's a place on somebody's team if you got the ability to shoot the ball. What do you got?
That's right. Hey, I'll lean in on the cottage cheese. Definitely Daisy, but you got to have it with a little bit of tomato.
I can't do that, man.
No
tomato? Yeah. You know, my cottage cheese has to be plain. I've never had anything in it or around it, never any black pepper, never any pineapple. It's always just been plain. It's weird, right? I know. So that's just me.
Too,
yeah, it's me.
With the Richardson situation, I was thinking maybe Minnesota. They seem to like to refurb quarterbacks up there.
It seems like that maybe they had some interest, and they may have some interest. Mike Chappell seems to think there's going to be more interest than I guess I believe there to be right now. But hopefully from a Colts angle that there will be. Mike, anything else?
Yeah. I met your scheduler the other day. I'm bad with names, but I think it was Tony. Shout out to him.
Who was what? One more time?
Your scheduler who schedules your guest. Was
it Tony wait. Tony Donahue used to do it long ago. James Adams is over there doing it right now. That is James.
Okay, yeah. Right. All right, great.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Mike.
Love the takeover too on the weekends.
We're going to lay it out there for 6 hours of incredibleness coming up this Saturday. I promise you that. And plus, I'm in a new studio, so I'm going to blank absolutely everything up in this new studio. So be ready for that too.
Awesome. Maybe throw in a little late 70s for us.
Late 70s. Hey, I always do, pal. Always do. All Mike, right. Thanks for the call, man.
Yeah, take care.
You call again soon. Appreciate you. Yeah. Late 70s always do. O'Gara's down in Beach Grove is a hell of a place. Great family, cheap beer, damn good time. We were going over places in Zionsville and Whitestown for me to do a show because as I told you a little bit earlier, when I was down in South Florida for the IU National Championship game that particular weekend, I met a lot of people. Really, all of Zionsville was there, and I mentioned how much I really enjoyed the people from Zionsville. So naturally, we need to do a show in Zionsville. Hopefully we can. And you guys have been giving me lots of opinions on that, too. Top-rated cottage cheese in Indiana includes, James, local high-quality options like creamy, organic Traders Point Creamery. That's in Zionsville. I had no idea. What's the caloric intake on the Traders Point Creamery creamy, organic cottage cheese? Because I don't flow much over 90. 110 probably is the yeah, I can't do that. Tulip Tree Creamery, James. Widely available, highly regarded brands like Good Culture, as I mentioned, shout out. Prairie Farms, that I don't like very well, but shout out to them too. Not a big fan of the Prairie Farms, although I will say I got Prairie Farms in our refrigerator right here. JMV, you mentioned you're going to blank stuff up in a new studio on Saturday. What gives? We're opening up the new studios downstairs on the first level and the B105.7 studio out of the closet and into a new studio.
Now, you did get through the first takeover in the building here, okay, by yourself.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd call it that. Yeah. I was about to go nuts. Last week, stuff didn't work when I got here. I threw some of the biggest fits of all time down the hall. Like Patrick at Praise, I think he was offended by my language. I was throwing a huge fit. So that's probably what's going to happen coming up on Saturday. Huge fit being thrown. Nick says probably 120 on those calories. That's not going to be for me right there, my brother.
According to Microsoft Bing, it's 140.
What? There's zero way on that. That's way too much. I hover around 80 or 90 for my cottage cheese, and that means I'm compromised with taste. There's no doubt. But I just accept that. It will absolutely be compromised in taste. But that's kind of the way that it is right there. Thank you for checking in. JMV, have you ever cheated since you've started your dramatic weight loss? If not, what's the most unhealthy thing that you've had since you started this program? Now, bear in mind here, Nick, I still drink. I am a phenomenal social drinker, and it's social. I don't like sit at home but I will socially drink like crazy. I like socially. So I still do that. Now, beer-wise, again, it's very low-calorie beer, and I still do bourbon. I'll still do whiskey, maybe mix it with ginger ale. I'll still do shots and stuff like that. So yeah, that is probably, in terms of what you ask, that is probably anything else as far as what I eat. I haven't had pasta. I haven't had pizza. I haven't had cheeseburgers. I haven't had bread, no potato chips, no chips of any kind, no crackers of any kind. So I basically eat cottage cheese, salmon, Greek yogurt, probably protein bars. Protein bars aren't great, so-called aren't great for you. Like today, James, here's what I've eaten today. Are you ready?
Hit me.
I've had one protein bar.
Of course.
I've had one Fit Crunch from whatever that Irvine guy's name is, 170 calorie protein. That's what I've had today.
See, that's actually a little bit better than what you have told me in the past, because I have come in here and asked you about, what you've done coming into the show. You've gone out to get drinks or grab a food or something like that. You've had a couple of beers, nothing to eat, and that's insane to me.
Yeah, it's not good. I probably should, and like people say, I don't know if I'd be promoting that aspect of it, which is very true. And truth be told, Nigel did drag me. I blame this on, well, I better not say that out loud. You can ask Nigel what not. Nigel, normally I'm the bad influence. Nigel was somewhat of a bad influence for me today. And there's no Hammer. Hammer's, I think, out today, but Nigel was a bad influence on me. But you can ask Nigel that. I'm not going to say that on the air without his approval.
But you did have a protein bar. You had actual solid food
I
in your stomach.
I had one Fit Crunch earlier today. That's what I've eaten.
You know what? That's progress.
And I still have our salmon in the fridge and hummus on Tuesday.
I knew you didn't get that from the fridge.
And I probably will forget it again today, too. Is salmon, will that be good after 2 days?
You're asking the wrong guy. I'm not a salmon person.
If I start puking all over everything, I guess we'll find out later on tonight.
I think it might taste a little extra fishier than it normally does.
Fishier. Oh, yeah. And a shout out, by the way, to Cluster Truck because they still brought that over on Tuesday as I was live at the Combine with Shane Steichen. Podcast 1075thefan.com. More calls on the other side. A little extra time. Anything goes coming up after 6. Obi Toppin is back on a minutes restriction for the Pacers against the Hornets tonight. And, of course, we're going to be eyeballing Michigan State and Purdue. That is a big one in the Big Ten on a Thursday night. You're getting peacocked with that one coming up later on tonight. And a weekend of girls high school basketball. Everybody involved. Shout out to you. If you missed Jason Sims, the head coach of Roncalli, who's a tremendous dude and still sits in his history at Eminence as a basketball player at 999 career points. I would suggest that Eminence needs to induct him into the 1,000 points club. How'd you not get one extra point somewhere added on? 999. That's incredible. There's zero way there's anybody out there like Coach Sims that's sitting on 999. You've been given that extra point to be in the 1,000 point club. Have to. Quick break. We'll come back. Butler a loser last night. Indiana State a loser last night. In Terre Haute coming up on Saturday. I shall explain. Sit tight. Your call's on the other side. And Anthony Richardson has, I guess, now officially been made available in any trades. I'm assuming it probably should have been that way for a while. That discussion forthcoming too. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for the best in realty. Mark Dito Realty, 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com. markdietel.com. Today, I'm going to go back to one of our favorites, Mitch in Martinsville. So the home was getting too big, needed to downsize, but needed to do it in a big hurry. Didn't know really how to progress on this, but heard about Mark Dietel on this radio show and then decided to go with the best in Mark Dietel. Multiple offers, 48 hours, closed in 30 days. That's what Mark Dietel can do for you. That's Mark Dietel. In fact, the only real estate expert I trust and recommend with the sale of my home if I was doing that. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline or he will buy it. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts and you can cancel at any time. It's Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. That's essential. Whether you need it right now, maybe you do down the road, make sure you have this number handy. 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com. markdietel.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
Well, not really. I felt it on my leg. Come on, I don't want to see it.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, so Freddie Johnston, Bad Reputation, that was in Kingpin, right? The movie Kingpin? You guys remember from the 90s, Freddie Johnston, Bad Reputation? In Kingpin. So let's do number 30 on the text line at 317-239-1070. The U.S. Open of Bowling is coming to Woodland Bowl on the north side. And I mentioned going back 14 years ago with just the awesome moment that lives on forever with Pete Weber. Maybe you get something like that again. Number 30 on the text line at 317-239-1070. You're going to get a pair of passes to be a part of that. And the reason why I bring Freddie Johnston on, because I believe Bad Reputation was a part of Kingpin back in the day. I believe that one to be true. Number 30 on the text line. 317-239-1070. You're a winner. T. Shaw writes this, JMV, Christopher Cross tickets go on sale tomorrow for the June 21st concert at the Palladium in Carmel. I saw Christopher Cross, well, obviously last summer, but also even before that at Hendricks County Live over in Plainfield. Awesome. I even went by myself. I went with all my friends, me, myself, and I to that one. Yeah, the Palladium in Carmel is an awesome spot. That'll be great to see. Just Christopher Cross is awesome to see in concert. Jay's up next at 239-1070. Hello, Jay. How are you?
Hey, John. How's it going today?
Outstanding, buddy. Jay on the north side's right with us right now on the show, buddy. What's happening?
Well, Chelsea Helms put out a post on Facebook today, and she said, was it a good idea to have Anthony Richardson talk to other teams? I said, it's a great idea because his completion percentage was well under 50%, while Daniel Jones' completion percentage was around 70%. And I said, he's not even a backup in this league. In fact, I said he couldn't even play in the Canadian Football League, being he grew up and was raised in Florida. And I think Susan Richardson from Eight Is Enough could complete more passes to Tommy and Nicholas than Anthony Richardson could.
Was there an episode when she threw a football or something? Is that what you're alluding to? Was there an episode where she threw the football?
Athlete.
Oh, yeah.
She was on Battle of the Network Stars, if you remember that.
I love that. That was a good way that we got to see a lot of hotness right there. If you remember, Jay, on the north side was Battle of the Network Stars.
Plus, Susan was on the Match Game.
Yeah.
Her first or second year on Eight Is Enough.
Right.
And she was a lot better looking than Fanny Flagg. Sorry to make you laugh.
That is a true story right there. I love me some Match Game, though, man. And Eight Is Enough as well. So.
And also, I went to my only Pacer game this year on Tuesday night.
Right on.
And it was worth the price. You know how they dunk the balls off that trampoline or something?
Yeah, the power pack is what you're talking about. Yeah.
It was worth the price of admission seeing Kyle Lowry and Boomer interact during that time.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right, Jay, I'm looking for something from the 1990s from me on Saturday night. Okay, brother?
Oh, I got 3 or 4 selections.
Jay on the north side, 3 or 4 selections coming up on Saturday night. All right, a little extra time here. We call it Anything Goes. I know Bill is there. I know Fulton is there. Bill wants to talk about Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Anything goes that is appropriate. We'll do that. Obi Toppin is back. A minute's restriction, but he will play later on tonight with the Hornets and the Pacers. 7P is that tip. 6:30 coverage, bottom of the hour. Purdue, Michigan State, and Mackey Arena, West Lafayette tonight is on Peacock at 8 o'clock. Otherwise, whatever you want to talk about, up for grabs. 239-1070. On the other side, it's Anything Goes with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
You take drugs, Danny?
Every day.
Good. So what's the problem?
I don't know.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Let's do some anything goes right here. Obi Toppin is back tonight. Minutes restriction for the Pacers and the Hornets. Sparty and the Boilermakers. 8 o'clock Peacock tonight. Full discussion on that, I'm sure, coming up on tomorrow's show. Anthony Richardson news, if you want to do that, we can. NFL Combine, you want to do that, we can. Anything goes is normally like that. Anything goes. Hey, by the way, too, I saw this, and thank you, James, for telling me. Suzanne with the Electric Avenue tickets for Saturday night. That's Electric Avenue, the MTV Experience. They're playing. I talked to Kevin Fletcher yesterday, in fact, their lead. They're playing at the Vogue coming up on Saturday night. She won tickets from the JMV Takeover. Suzanne, 317-239-1070. Call James right now. James, get Suzanne's information so I can make sure I can get her those tickets for Saturday night. Suzanne, one more time, if you're listening right now, which I guess you are, 317-239-1070. Call and make sure you get James, and James will take all your information down, and I'll make sure those tickets come your way for Electric Avenue, the MTV Experience, coming up on Saturday night. That's at the Vogue in Broad Ripple. JMV, this particular caller, Jay, who is deliberately discussing Anthony Richardson just before 6, seems certainly to be under the influence, which is okay. I do not think, now, Jay was trying to make some jokes, I think, right there. This is what I gather. More than anything else. Trying to make a joke or two. There's nothing wrong with it. JMV, watching the D-line guys at the Combine, good Lord, some impressive individuals across the board. Dave in Beech Grove. Dave, I will tell you this, especially coming off the end, and we're going to find out exactly how deep that goes. Because we're only talking about like Reuben Bain Jr., for example, but we're going to find out just exactly how deep that goes at that position, and we'll see if the Colts can take advantage of that. 239-1070. James, give me Fulton here, who's been on hold since, I think, Tuesday. Hello, Fulton. How are you?
Hello, John. How are you?
Have you been on hold since Tuesday? That's what I gather.
I have, yep.
Wow, that's a long time, buddy.
Yep. So I got some news.
Okay.
We have, I'm doing my bowling tournament on Saturday, March 7th.
Your bowling tournament, you said?
Yep, for Hampton Heights.
Okay.
And on March 8th, we have sectionals at 7th and 8th grade center at 9 a.m. And then if we win that game, we'll play the second game. If we don't, we're just going home.
All right,
and then the big announcement is, John, you ready?
The big announcement is what?
I am going to audition for Annie the Musical.
Annie the Musical. Did you tell me that on Saturday night? I knew that.
I did.
You didn't? I think I knew that already.
Yeah.
How did I know that? Somebody told me. Did Pat Sullivan tell me that then? Somebody told me.
I don't know if he did.
Annie the Musical. Well, I know how much you like that, and I'm very happy for you, buddy.
I'm going to try to get the part of Rooster of Annie, so
I will have to apologize in advance. I don't really know the musical Annie, nor I think the musical that turned into a film back in the 80s of Annie very well.
Yeah.
My apologies, though.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, musicals and rock operas and things like that. If you're asking a category that I don't know too much of, that would be it, probably right there. And I don't think anybody would be surprised.
I'm going to go see High School Musical on Saturday night.
Sweet.
One of my director, my friend Rebecca Roy, is directing High School Musical at Attic Theater tonight, so maybe we can give a shout out to her and the entire crew and everything.
You got it, pal. Thanks for the checkup. I'm sorry you had to wait so long.
That's okay, John.
All right.
Hopefully I'll see you on Saturday.
You got it. That's Fulton right there. Hey, shout out to Litzy. Litzy is in Jamaica sending me pictures of the JMV suck sign made it to Jamaica. That's well done. Bill's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame talk is at 239-1070. Hello, Bill.
Hey, JMV, I'm in Fulton's corner, and I hope he nails that audition.
Exactly. Me too, buddy. So me too.
He's got some fans, so I know he's going to come through. But they released a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees, and Iron Maiden's on there, the Black Crowes, In Excess.
Yes.
Phil Collins is on there, Melissa Etheridge, Mariah Carey, Luther Vandross. And one thing I can say about Luther Vandross is that if you're going to be in a sensual environment, you light a couple candles and put on Luther.
Yes,
he's going to get you an assist.
There's no doubt. There's an elite level category that includes Barry White, Teddy Pendergrass, Lou Rawls, and certainly Luther Vandross, and that Marvin Gaye. If there's a category, that would be it.
Definitely, man. But I want to say something about Mariah Carey and the whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, she's a tremendous talent. She can really belt it out, but she's not rock and roll.
Well, and Billy, I said this, and I got to run in a second, but and thank you for the call. This is what I said about that. Let's just view it now for what it is. It's a celebration of music. And that's what that's all about to me, buddy. It's a celebration of music. So it doesn't necessarily have to be into the category of rock and roll. It can be whatever you want it to be. And it's about the artists, the musicians that have made us happy. And not everybody is going to be involved, but I think certainly every genre should be involved. With that in mind. Billy, thank you very much for it. All right, Colts Daily Updates next, right? All right, Pacers bottom of the hour. Welcome back, Obi. Minutes restriction, but he is going to be there. And we'll have that conversation. Hornets Pacers coming up tomorrow. Michigan State and Purdue tonight. Peacock at 8 o'clock. That also recapping coming up on tomorrow's show. You guys have been awesome today. James, thank you very much. Thank you for listening. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Have a great night.